Oh man, what's really good, family tree? I need you guys straight away to hit the like button for me. I know you guys have been waiting for us, but just hit the like button for us real quickly and share the link like crazy because we will be getting new people onto the panel to actually have our discussion. Today's show is going to be about Kanye Trump mind control. And of course, you lot been voting for this. You lot want to talk about the abortions. So I'm calling the abortion agenda. So we're going to be talking about these two critical topics. We shall be going through the Kanye West video and dissecting the video. I also want to have your opinions on Kanye West. There's been a few, how can I put it, derogatory terms flung at Kanye West with his recent encounter and what's it called, press conference with the President Trump. So I want to get your guys' feedback. I want to get the community's feedback. We want to open it up. We want to hear different thoughts and opinions on this topic. I don't want to spend long. I want to spend maximum of an hour on here with you guys. So please jump in as soon as possible. Share the links with your friends and your family members. And yeah, I actually found the article just real quickly while we're waiting for everybody to jump in so we can discuss this. I actually found the article to do with the physics teacher, 22, who had an arranged marriage in Bangladesh with a 13-year-old girl before having sex with her, is banned from the classroom for life. Okay, this was on the 9th of October. It says here, Joshim Noor was a teacher at the London Nautical School and struck off this year. His child bride said she had told him she was 13 she was 13 3 days before they married, right? 3 days before they married, she alerted him that she was 13. And age 22, he went to Bangladesh and married the girl, 13, and had sex with her. Okay. He good left the UK. Okay. He good left the UK and went over to Bangladesh to go and marry and have sexual intercourse with a 13-year-old. Now, I'm assuming that, Bangladesh marriage and sex laws must be quite relaxed for that to actually occur. I do not know. I should actually check it up. But it's very shocking nonetheless. Okay. It continues here. Age 22, he went to Bangladesh. Yeah, we got that. Noor said that the girl's family had deceived him and told him she was 18. The lies we tell. Disciplinary panel ruled that Noor should have known she was aged under 16. Do you know Joshim Noor? So if you do, give them the email, baby. Give them the email. Okay, so it continues to tell the story. A physics teacher has been banned from the classroom for life after flying to Bangladesh to marry a 13-year-old girl when he was 22 and sleeping with her. So at that time, he was 22 years of age and sleeping with a 13-year-old. Joshim Noor, now 34, met her for the first time 3 days before their 2006 arranged marriage during his summer holidays after watching a video of her made by her father. The victim, named only as Child A, said she had sex with her husband shortly after their wedding night, and after settling in the UK, she was taken to a family planning clinic and put on contraceptive pill. Wow. Imagine that. Imagine that. Literally being shipped off to another country, being filled with contraceptive pills, so that you won't be able to get pregnant and it won't come to light. Wow. Noor was a teacher at the London Nautical School in Blackfriars at the time and has been now struck off. A teaching regulation authority panel sitting in Coventry last month said his claims that he believed she was 18 were not credible, especially as his wife said she told him she was 13 and was studying in year 8. In year 8 at school. Wow. Wowzers. Gee whiz. Wow. Noor had accused the girl's parents of deception and said he was unaware of her real age until she made a complaint to the police in 2013. And a bone test confirmed she was underage when they married. How many of these women, sorry, these young girls are suffering? This one decided not to suffer in silence, but to go to the police and make a formal complaint. Well done on her. Well done. All right. It is not clear how long the couple stayed together or if they have any children. That's him there. Joshim Noor, now 34, as part of an arranged marriage. Continues. The panel said Mr. Noor now accepts that child A was 13 years old in 2006. However, also she went to in 2000. She made a complaint in 2013. Wow. Wow. That's 7 years after. So when she was 20, she actually found the courage to go and tell. 7 years she was living with this man. 7 whole years. Shocking. All right. The panel said Mr. Noor now accepts that child A was 13 years old in 2006. However, he maintains that he was unaware of this at the time of their marriage, believing her to be 18 years old. Mr. Noor does not deny that he had sexual intercourse with child A during their marriage. This is supported by the evidence of the family court order, which identified that full sexual relations between the mother and father commenced in the early part of 2007 when she was only 13 or 14 years of age. The panel heard he thought she was 18 despite being familiar with the appearance of girls that age as a result of working at the school. The panel saw a great statement from the child who said she had a direct conversation with Noor 3 days before their arranged marriage in Bangladesh. In the statement, she told him she was 13 and studying in year 8 at school. The girl said prior to this, she had been the subject of a video recording taken by Noor's father in which she confirmed the same details and that she believed Noor had seen the video. Wow. So we're now seeing that this conspiracy ran deep. We're now seeing that the father itself was also complicit. The father knew quite clearly she was 13. The father, and I'm supposing, others within inside of the community knew the age of this child. But for some strange reason, it's not strange, we all know the reason why, but this was socially acceptable, culturally acceptable. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Now I see. Now we see. Now we see. The panel said she was consistent in her account in her initial complaint police interview and the TRA proceedings, and they found her evidence to be compelling and credible. Nor said in written evidence that he was deceived by her family as to his wife's age when they wed. The panel chairman, Dr. Robert Crawley, said he stated he was unaware of her real age until she made a complaint to the police in 2013. Shortly afterwards, in family court proceedings in 2014, a test was undertaken to determine her real age. Mr. Noor stated that he had understood his wife was 18 years old at the time of the marriage. Panel saw evidence that this statement was supported by a marriage certificate which was used to apply for a passport for a child A following their marriage. The panel did not find it plausible that Mr. Noor could have mistaken a 13-year-old child for an 18-year-old. You're goddamn right. And this misconception continued over a 4-year period. You liar. The panel was particularly concerned in light of the fact that he worked in a secondary school and had daily interactions with children of this age. Nasty. They heard that the girl said they had sex shortly after they married. She also said she was taken to a family planning clinic in 2007 when age 13 or 14 and took the pill every day. You blood clot pervert bastard, you. Sorry for that. The panel found him guilty of engaging in relationship with child A and having sex on more than one occasion when she was on the 16. Charges he denied. The hearing was told Noor was gifted and valued member of staff by his head teacher. The panel ruled that Noor engaged in a relationship with the girl between August 2006 and April 2009 in circumstances when he should have known she was aged on the 16. The panel said he should have known her age at the time, but acknowledged he appeared to be acting under pressure from his family to enter into the marriage, given that he met child A just 3 days prior to their wedding. They ruled Mr. Noor entered into marriage and sexual relationships with a 13-year-old child. Mr. Noor did not demonstrate any insight into his actions on their impact on child A. Decision maker Alan Meervik said, in my judgment, the lack of insight means that there is some risk. Some blood clot. There is a major risk of the repetition of this behavior. He said, no, will never teach again. Well done. Well done. Protect our girls to blood cleats. All right. Just quickly having to share that with you guys. Let me just quickly see where you are at. All right. So everybody's here. Make sure you hit up the like button, family. Hit the like button. Tag Titans TV. All right. And yeah, real quickly, I'm going to share the link because we are going to be reviewing the Kanye West video. All right. So I will be sharing the link in a hot second. Just let me know if you guys are ready to go in, and we shall be going in. He's knocking on the door. Don't let the devil in. Jeez. All right. Let me just get this. Let me get this up. So for those of you guys who don't know, the article that I actually read out, right, was actually not because, but remember, some of you guys might remember this. Yep, some of you guys might remember this on Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawa, and Sheikh Mohammed Usman, Abu Safiya Mohammed Usman. Yeah, remember that? Remember we went through this article? I'm sure you guys remember this article, right? I remember their conclusion, basically. Their conclusion was, okay, so their conclusion was this. It becomes obvious that detractors are anachronistic in their historical judgment. This constitutes a fallacy known as fallacy of presentism. The article is not calling for a reconsideration of the age of consent as form blah, blah, blah. Harm is reassessed depending on time, place, and circumstance. However, the question remains, why should we pass certain moral judgments using moralities that have uncertain moral foundation? Shut up. Where is it anyway? Where is it? I think this is it here. Yeah, they basically say, thus, it is not in the interest of Muslims to break the long hand of the law in Britain or any other Western country, not only because of the harms, mafasid, that might accrue from this, but also because of the general Islamic impermissibility of going against the law. So basically in here, we find out that the only reason why they're not going to actually have marital and sexual intercourse with women over here, young girls over here, is because they realize that it's against the law. But if it wasn't against the law, and it was in a different environment, in a different time, right, they would have had, or they can have, sexual relationships with these underage girls. That is what this article is basically saying. I can't even be bothered to go through this again, but that's what that article is saying. And we also see it proven to be true. How do we see it proven to be true? Because we have other individuals that says, yeah, if I can't have a 9-year-old or a 13-year-old in this country legally, I'm going to go to Bangladesh, or I'm going to go to Pakistan, or I'm going to go to Sudan, or I'm going to go to the Gambia, let's say, for example. Like, I'm going to go to any Muslim country around the world that doesn't have these regulations in place where I can have sexual relationships with these people and ban the UK and ban human rights and ban Western laws. I'm going to follow the laws of the Sharia laws. Sharia law, same thing. But yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking. But anyways, let me actually do this and get you guys on the panel. So there we go. The link has been sent out. The link has been sent. So I'ma wait for you to come and join me. Yeah. Come and join me, family. All right. You guys been asking for it. I finally put on the show for you guys. Y'all in here. Ready for the link? Family tree. All right, let me get it over to Raskin Bobbins. Since he emailed me, I know we got Kelly Arm and a queen up in the building. Let me just paste this link. What the hell is this? Sorry. All right. Sorry. All right. Just gonna mute off everybody's mics. It seems that there's a crazy feedback. Okay. So bear with me, family. I am gonna get the link out to everybody else. I'm just gonna have to copy it and paste it for those of you guys who emailed me. I see you, Takia. I see you, Raskin Bobbins. But again, the link is right there. So please try to join. Let me get you guys actually to just filibuster for me whilst I'm sending out the link. So if anybody would like to just unmute their mic right now and talk to us.
Wagwan.
What's going on, Kalam?
Oh man, all good, family.
Hello. What's good, everybody? What's up, Kalam?
Yeah, where do you want to start? You want to talk about the Kanye West situation?
Am I the only one who actually felt like he made sense?
Honestly, I just thought he was an obedient slave.
No, I'm the opposite. He made sense.
I mean, he just seemed very pleased to please the master. That's how it seemed to me.
You know what? I don't believe that. I think he made a lot of sense about the fact that, you know, African Americans need jobs that, you know, are in manufacturing and things like that. All the industries going to China. He made sense, but the media switched it around and made it seem like he was kissing ass. He wasn't. He was making disguise, using his position to get what he wants to help the Black community. Why is he being, you know, okay, he's an artist, he's quite eccentric. That's Kanye West, but I just feel like it was just politically used against him. But he's doing good, people. Is there anyone who agrees with me?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Hey.
I have to agree with you. But you
know,
I do as well.
Yeah,
I do as well.
Look at what Kanye West said.
But
it was no different to what Donald Trump said during his campaign. The only difference was there was no racist rhetoric.
This is what we're gonna do, though. This is what we're gonna do. All right. So we're not gonna listen to the media right now. What we're gonna do is play the video. Okay, we're gonna play the video, and we're also gonna dissect it at point for point. Hopefully, this doesn't go over an hour, and let's try to do it as fast as possible. So if anybody would like to just speak, we'll open it up, but please be quick. Okay, please be quick. So let's do this. Let me share the screen. And let's get it on. Let's get it on tonight. Let's do it.
Ask donors, obviously, common things of that nature.
How old is he? How old?
68.
68 years old?
68 years old. And really, the reason why they imprisoned him is because he started doing positive for the community. He started showing that he actually had power, that he wasn't just one of a monolithic voice, that he could wrap people around. So there's theories that there's infinite amounts of universe in this alternate universe. So it's very important for me to get Hoover out, because in an alternate universe, I am him. And I have to go and get him free, because he was doing positive inside of Chicago, just like how I moved back to Chicago. And it's not just about, you know, getting on stage and being an entertainer and having a monolithic voice that's forced to be a specific party. You know, people expect that if you're Black, you have to be Democrat. I've had conversations that basically said that welfare is the reason why a lot of Black people end up being Democrat. They say, you know, first of all, it's a limited amount of jobs. So the fathers lose the jobs, and they say, we'll give you more money for having more kids in your home. And then we got rid of the mental health institutes in the 80s and the 90s, and the prison rates just shot up. And now you have Chirac, what people call Chirac, which actually our murder rate is going down by 20% every year. I just talked to the superintendent, met with Michael Sachs, that's Ron's right-hand man. So I think it's the bravery that helps you beat this game called life. You know, they try to scare me to not wear this hat. My own friend.
All right, let me just go back a little bit. Let me stop it right there because he raised a few points, right? He raised a few points, right? He raised the points about Larry Hoover, number one. He also raised the points about the murders are going down, or the shooting murders are going down. What was the other point? There was a third one. I missed it.
Sorry, in what state is the murders going down?
In Chicago.
Are you laughing? In the last 10 years, it's been like, what, 900 people per year killed in Chicago alone.
I don't have any facts and figures to dispute with you.
Please check it out.
It's getting worse. He's right.
Exactly.
Chicago is like a murder capital.
Honestly.
So before we go into that, let's try to do it chronologically. So let's go to the first point he raised about Larry Hoover. What's your thoughts on that one? Anybody?
We don't know who Larry is. So can you?
Who's Larry?
That's why I can't speak on it, because I don't really know about Larry Hoover.
Maybe
I don't know about Larry Hoover, Big Meech, Larry Hoover.
So I can't really speak on something I don't really know much about. I mean,
let me do this then. Larry Hoover. I'm sure you lot heard Rick Ross talk about Larry Hoover, right?
No.
I'm sure there was a
Rick Ross.
Yeah, come on, like he was on American Gangsters, like the real American Gangsters. Come on, Gary. Oh, sugar! You don't even heard about Gangster Disciples?
Oh, we know.
Oh man, okay, all right.
Frank Lucas is the only gangster I really know about. I keep talking about it. I mean,
I ain't gonna lie, I missed the part where I just got in late in it, so I missed what Kanye actually said about him.
Let me go back a little bit.
We were saying that he actually makes sense. Scattered minds.
Oh, don't say that to Scattered Minds. All right. Let's go back to it. Okay.
Well, basically, you know about 68. 68 years old. 68 years old. And really, the reason why they imprisoned him is because he started doing positive for the community. He started showing that he actually had power, that he wasn't just one of a monolithic voice, that he could wrap people around. So there's theories that there's infinite amounts of universe in this alternate universe. So it's very important for me to get Hoover out, because in the alternate universe, I am him. And I have to go and get him free, because he was doing positive inside of Chicago, just like I moved back to Chicago. And it's not just about, getting on stage and being an entertainer and having a monolithic voice that's forced to be a specific party. People.
There you go. So he's saying, talk to me. He's talking about he wants to get Larry Hoover out. Is there anything bad with that?
No, there's nothing bad with that at all. I didn't see I didn't see the whole Kanye thing. I just saw the clips they were showing in the news. It did not look good to see how Kanye was hugging up on the president and stuff like that.
Thank you.
In terms of what he's saying there and actually analyzing it, to be fair, this whole Kanye debacle for me is a bit annoying, because it's like, it's okay. For one, I'm not trying to dismiss or take away anything he's trying to say, but for one, we know that Kanye has some mental health issues. He's spoken about his medication several times and stuff like that, and he's really getting anxious and getting into this fuss about being a black conservative. We've had black conservatives before. You're not the first one, Kanye. And always react like this to black conservatives. I don't know why the black community are giving it so much hype. I think it's because he's done, he came out from the sort of black punches vibe, and now he's sounding more conservative, that people are offended by it. But he's not the first black conservative. He's not saying anything particularly groundbreaking. There's several black conservatives who said this all before. Yeah, I'm not really, yeah, I mean, but yeah, I'll get into it and see what everyone else is saying. But I'm not a big fan of Kanye's 360 from where he was before when he first came out. But being a black, you're allowed to be a black conservative, bro. Like, it's cool. You can wear the hat if you want. I'm not trying to take the hat from you.
So my question is to you guys, yeah. What man, or even black man, has actually had an open dialogue with the president before, that we've all been able to be privy to the conversation? Does anybody know?
Boy, I couldn't tell you, but I think that's the key thing that I'm focusing on with this whole situation. Is that the way I see it is, I just see that he's going to be the face of one of the faces of the US incursion into Africa, innit? That's all I'm really kind of focused on. I didn't really necessarily need to hear what he was saying. Just looking at what's been going on, I can go back to, the timeline of, Black Panther coming out, and then, you see China have obviously been making incursions into Africa. You've got I don't know how many army bases, US army bases in Africa. The only place they really don't have bases is Congo, right? So they're just circling Congo. I don't think they have any in Nigeria, maybe on the outskirts of Nigeria as well. So yeah, I just look at it politically in that kind of sense. I'm really not too concerned with Kanye, what his agenda. Well, I know what his agenda is, isn't it? From when man's saying I'm going to Africa, yeah, he's a black capitalist, isn't it? All of these rappers, no matter how conscious they were back in the day, how conscious they are now, they're all black capitalists, isn't it? And that's their position. So Kanye fits the agenda of the Trump administration and the US agenda of neocolonialism, like hand to glove, isn't it?
Can I jump in as an African? I completely disagree. I think Trump is good for Africa. He's slowing down the Americans coming to Africa because obviously Trump, he's the establishment are against Trump. So it's actually the other way around. It's the other people, the Clintons, the Obama, that are terrible for Africa. It's them that wanted a new world order.
Hold on.
They destroyed Haiti as well. Clinton Foundation.
Hold on, I was just in the middle of talking.
Yeah, but I was as an African. Are you an African?
Yeah, I respect that you were born on a continent.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to say. Trump is good for Africa. He's slowing down what you were touching up on of the neo-colonials.
How is he doing that exactly?
Because he's fighting with the main establishment, which is the press, CNN, all those people that are anti-Trump. They're the ones that wanted to go into Africa. Trump is actually an American patriot. He's slowing down, so he's actually good for Africa. I don't agree with what you said.
Why was Melania Trump in Ghana with handing white dolls to black children? If that's,
to be honest, that's just, she's doing it for her own image as a humanitarian, whatever it is, but that's not, they're not the problem. The problem are the other ones. Obama, the horrible one. Obama is the one you should look out for.
Sister, Obama's not the president anymore.
Yes,
what you're dealing with, hold on, wait, 1 second.
The others, the Democrats.
I understand, I hear what you're saying, 1 minute. What it sounds like is you're listening to the rhetoric rather than seeing what's actually happening.
It's obvious. I'm an African. I can clearly see what's going on. Trump is good for Africa because he's slowing down the New World Order and the grab of the continent. Meanwhile, Africa's getting stronger and uniting. So Trump is good for Africa, and that's my stance in it. Because I come from the tribe, the Amhara tribe, that's been oppressed for the past 26 years because this regime has been supported by the Clinton administration for 26 years. Trump comes into power. All my people are starting to rise up, and there's change in Ethiopia, and we've got a new prime minister. That's because of Trump. Let's face it,
I respect your position.
Leader of the free world, and he's benefiting Africa. He's benefiting people like me.
Sorry, didn't Donald Trump say that black people come from shitholes?
I don't believe that. That's a lie. Again, that's a media lie. He never said that. That's to get you black people against him. Can you see what they're trying to do?
You can say that. And he also has spoken about support for the white South Africans and ordered that if there's any
I'll have to mute everybody real quickly because I'm baffled. I didn't know how we jumped from Trump, Kanye, talking about Larry Hoover all the way over to Africa. So I was like mad baffled, family, mad baffled.
Because whoever this Jump Street dude is, he's trying to make us angry and anti-Trump. No, we're not. I'm not anti-Trump because I can clearly see what's going on. We're not, as black people, going to jump into that. Isn't Trump horrible? No, we're not going to go there. And to be honest, Kanye West is speaking the truth, and all this media hate against him is not. It's not coming from generally. It's the media, the actual owners of CNN and all of them lot. And it's got nothing to do. It's just a hype, basically.
All right, stay there, everybody. Let me go back onto the video. Please, let's get some order, right? Because I'm not trying to spend here too long. I want to go through the whole video and see what we can actually see. So let's go on to the next point that Kanye brought up.
People expect that if you're black, you have to be Democrat. I have conversations that basically said that welfare is the reason why a lot of Black people end up being Democrat. They say, first of all, it's a limit to amount of jobs. So the fathers lose the jobs, and they say, we'll give you more money for having more kids in your home. And then we got rid of the mental health institutes in the 80s and the 90s, and the prison rates just shot up. And now you have Chirac, what people call Chirac, which is actually our murder rate is going down by 20% every year. I just talked to the superintendent, met with Michael Sachs, that's Ron's right-hand man. So,
okay, so I'm gonna stop there. Now, is that true? Is that the reason why Black people in America actually are on this Democratic part of the Democratic Party or voting Democrats?
I mean, kind of sounds like a good politician, all the stuff he was saying there.
I just don't think the Hispanic, Asian, and Black communities would really vote for the Republican Party because their main demographic is in the South, and obviously all the dirty history that's tied to that. And the Republicans are more conservative and patriotic, so that kind of marginalizes Hispanic, Asian, and Black communities. They think, nah, it's not really my party. They might not even necessarily agree with what the Democrats are doing. They think, oh, it's the only option, so I'm just going to go for them.
Yeah, so historically, Black people in America were Republican, the party of Abe Lincoln and so on. I think during the whole civil rights era, there was a very, and a little bit before that, there was a very clear switch over in which the Democrats clearly came close to civil rights whilst the Republicans stepped back from civil rights. And so a lot of Black people switched across during that period and during that era, and a little bit before that, I believe, towards the party that was supporting civil rights for Black people. So the reason why Black people support Democrats is because of that historical shift, not because of necessarily welfare. Now, however, continue on from that point on, there's no doubt that things like welfare and these types of issues do play into people's mind when they're voting, basically, who's going to help out our community most. And there is a question about, is welfare actually a help or is it a trap? Do people get caught in it? But I think that's a wider debate and a wider discussion. I'm not sure if you want to get into on that point about whether welfare is a trap or not. But I think Black people vote Democrats for various reasons in America. But if you look at the Republican candidates right now across the US, there's various that you could actually just pick out which have had many statements or things that they've done which have been clearly racist. Trump has a history of like racist housing policy. Sorry, not to get back into Trump or the politics, but the Republican Party tends to side with the more nationalistic Americans who tend to not necessarily have the greatest views of minorities. So that's the issue, I think.
If I could just interject, I'm just wondering, when did Kanye become a Republican? When he became wealthy? I mean, I'm sure that he benefited from some of the policies implemented by the Democratic Party, when he was had a lower socioeconomic status. And there's a little joke that people say is like, everyone's Democrat until they get money, and they are and pretty much a political agenda that will have their best interests at heart. And I also would be interested in a discussion just about welfare as a whole, and whether or not it's a hindrance or a help to some people, and maybe some ways in which the current way welfare is implemented, if there's some room for improvement of that system.
All right. Thank you, Queen. Let's go back over to the video itself because we're just trying to go through this real quickly. Let's go.
I think it's the bravery that helps you beat this game called life. They try to scare me to not wear this hat, my own friends, but this hat, it gives me power in a way. My dad and my mom separated, so I didn't have a lot of male energy in my home. And also, I'm married to a family that, not a lot of male energy going on. It's beautiful, though. But there's times where, it's something about, I love Hillary. I love everyone, right? But the campaign, I'm with her, just didn't make me feel as a guy that didn't get to see my dad all the time, like a guy that could play catch with his son. There was something about when I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman. You made a Superman. That's my favorite superhero. And you made a Superman cape for me also as a looks up to Ralph Lauren, looks up to American industry guys, non-political, no bullshit, put the beep on it, however you want to do it, 5 seconds delay, and just goes in and gets it done. Right now, you gave me the heart to go to Adidas, because at Adidas, when I went in 2015, we were a $14 billion company, losing $2 billion a year. Now we have a $38 billion market cap. It's called the Yeezy effect. And I went to Casper. We had a meeting in Chicago. And I said, you have to bring manufacturing onshore, not even shore, into the core. It's not about the borders, the core of Adidas. And Chicago is the core of Middle America. We have to make Middle America strong. So I had the balls, because I had enough balls to put on this hat. I mean, this Adidas thing made me a billionaire. And I could have lost $200 million walking away from that deal. But even with that, I knew it was more important for me to take the chance of walking away from that deal than to have no fathers in Chicago with no homes. And when we do have prison reparation, because it's habilitation, not rehabilitation, because we didn't have the abilities in the first place. We never had anyone to taught us, who didn't teach us. Exactly, we had no one to taught us, right? So it's more important than any specific deal, anything, that we bring jobs into America, and that we provide a transition with mental health and the American education curriculum that Jim has worked on. Larry Hoover also has a curriculum that he's worked on. We have Montessori curriculums that we worked on. WeWorks has a beautiful curriculum. The Waldorf establishment has a curriculum. We have meditation. There's a lot of things affecting our mental health that makes us do crazy things, that puts us back into that trap door called the 13th Amendment. I did say abolish with that hat on, because why would you keep something around that's a trap door? If you're building a floor, the Constitution is the base of our industry, right? Of our country, of our company. Would you build a trap door that if you mess up and you accidentally something happens, you fall and you end up next to the Unabomber? You got to remove all that trap door out of the relationship. The four gentlemen that wrote the 13th Amendment, and I think the way the universe works is perfect. We don't have 13 floors, do we? So the four gentlemen that wrote the 13th Amendment didn't look like the people they were amending. Also, at that point, it was illegal for blacks to read, or African Americans to read. And so that meant if you actually read the amendment, you get locked up and turned into a slave. Again, so
Okay. I don't want to make it go on for too long. Come on, family. Let me know. What are your thoughts?
He's got
Was he saying Donald Trump was his daddy? I'm trying to understand what I was listening to, because he sounded like
Can I get
he was in love. He sounded like he was in love.
If you look at the elder that was sitting next to him, he's looking at him like, what is this guy talking about?
I think even Trump was looking like that as well. But I just wanted to add the whole thing about him not having male energy in the house and the father thing. That's just something personal for him to deal with. But he said something, we want to bring production back home. And this is why I believe the establishment do not like the things he's saying and his affiliation with Trump. Because if you look at SpaceX and Tesla and what Elon Musk did, everything is made in-house. All the products are made in America, and he's on the rocks now, but he became successful. If you see what Apple are doing to them poor Chinese people in the factories, and they've got nets and they've got bars on the windows to stop people from jumping out, because they're literally sitting there and putting the same screw in for 12 hours all day in the back of the speakers, same screw, and they're just going mad, and that's exploitation. So Apple don't want to hear that, and he was talking about how he had a meeting with Casper. These big companies, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to listen to that. They don't want Trump to listen to that either. So that's why he's not a very liked character amongst the media and the establishment in general.
I mean, anybody that trusts these politicians, you can't trust these politicians, man. They're all the same.
When what that sister was saying about Melanated Goddess was saying he's in love, and that kind of goes in hand with my thing of that he's a black capitalist, isn't it? You said he went from being a Democrat, as most black people are in America apparently, to a Republican, and that's a transition that I can imagine happening all the time. So yeah, as I'm looking at him, I'm just looking at him, and he just looks like a salesman. He looks like he's using similar kind of bamboozling tactics that Trump uses in selling whatever Trump's trying to sell at any given time. So as far as I'm concerned, Kanye is just selling his ass off, man. That's what he looks like he's doing.
Well, can I just say something? At least he's getting on Air Force One. Wouldn't you love to go in that plane?
No, what are you talking about, man?
You wouldn't want to go on Air Force One?
Wow.
Nah, I'm right, man.
He's
No.
I'm not defending him. He's a musician. He's not a politician. He's just a simple musician that made it big. So I honestly think he wants to get onto Air Force One.
No,
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of this is about. Sorry to cut you, brother. I think a lot of this is about Obama not inviting him there to the White House and inviting Jay-Z and all the other guys, and Kanye didn't get to go. And so now Kanye is upset and he's mad. And so he's trying to buddy up to Trump and be Trump's best friend. They could say he go in the White House too. In terms of like policy and stuff like that, it sounded good, but I don't think Trump's gonna bring manufacturing into Chicago for the inner city kids of Shawtown or Chirac, as he called it. I think his policies, like the sister said, sorry, like Jarena said, he's a musician, he's not a politician, and maybe he should let the elder say to his left do the talking, and maybe he should just sat there, perhaps. Because I don't think he didn't raise that many great points for me. I mean, fatherlessness, yes, it's a great point. We all know that fatherlessness is a big deal. I don't think Kanye West necessarily articulated it as great as somebody else could have, to be fair. So I just don't really get the point of him being there or really the fuss about Kanye's political status.
Isn't that the times we're living in now, though? Like, anyone can just become influential by just being famous. Like, you know, someone like Kanye West that has a lot of followers. You know, it's the times we live in now. They can just say something and people just follow them. And like, you know, as we were discussing, he's not a politician. You know, he probably thinks he's doing well, you know, for the people of America in his mind. But I don't think it's that deep, really.
I would say
bugging. You know, actually bugging. Like exactly what you're saying. Yeah, that's exactly what Kanye West is saying. He says, "Boy, the moment I put on that MAGA hat, I felt like Superman. I felt like I could do anything. If Trump could run for president and win, I could run. God damn it, I could run from president and win this thing too." Nah, man, you lot ain't catching on though. Man's talking about bringing jobs to the inner city. He's talking about changing the curriculum, the education curriculum. He's talking about Montessori, talking about Jim Brown. He's talking about Larry Hoover, big man Larry Hoover, and his own curriculum as well. And you lot ain't seen that something as positive? Nah, you lot are smoking Skittles, fam. I don't know. Let me just fade to black again.
You are far more intelligent than Kanye West. Seriously, you cannot be excited about what Kanye West said.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Kanye West needed. Sorry, go ahead, Kalam.
You know why I'm excited? I'm excited because I've never had this type of conversation before, yeah, with the president. I've never seen that this is something that actually transpires. I've never seen something like this in the UK itself, right? Where you can sit down with the prime minister or the president in front of everybody and you can share your own opinions, how you want this country to run.
But the thing is, Trump has always been very close to the music artists. He was in Bobby Brown's music video, so maybe he just wants to meet normal people. Maybe he's fed up of these political people. I don't blame him.
I remember that video as well. That was Ghostbusters as a bad tune.
Yeah, so maybe he just wants to meet, you know, the people he used to hang out before, like Kanye West and all these musicians. So it makes sense why they get on.
To be honest, Kalam, I was just like, you were talking.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, Kalam made a valid point there. I mean, if you look at Kanye West, maybe he's living that dream of thinking, well, Donald Trump is not a politician. He became president. So why can't I? Maybe that's the dream he's living.
I think you have to ask yourself this question as well. Why has Trump got Kanye West there in the first place, bro? Like, that's what I'm preying, innit? Like, I understand why Kanye would be in the White House with the president, no matter who the president may be, because he's got grand designs of his own, of, you know, revolutionizing popular culture, this, that, and the other. You know, many times he's already said he wants a Medici. I don't know if you guys knew who the Medici family were, but they were Renaissance benefactors. And he's spent the last 10 years trying to find benefactors for his stuff. Like, obviously, his fashion stuff flopped. He was complaining that no one would fund his stuff there. Everywhere he goes, he's complaining that no one's giving him enough money. He lost a whole bunch of money. on some kind of venture last year or a couple of years ago, which contributed to his mental breakdown as well. And it's like, for me, it's black and white, man. It's really not hard to understand the game that's being played out. Like Kanye West is facilitating something for Trump, and Trump is facilitating something for Kanye West. And this is the reason why I brought up Africa, is because it seems like that's where the two are gonna meet in the middle.
No, John.
This start to
That's not true. Kanye West is not African.
Please
He's
stop.
the most American man ever. He doesn't even look like.
Interrupting what I'm saying. That's a second.
I'm not interrupting, but you don't make sense. Kanye West is not the face of Africa. He has white women as
stop interrupting what I'm saying. Let him
never goes near black women.
Let man finish what he's saying.
Never been to Africa. How?
Come on, kids.
Thank you. I'm talking and the sister keeps interrupting. It's very rude, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's what I was saying. As far as black people with money are concerned, they're all looking to Africa, and rightly so. How that manifests is going to be interesting, and also who is going to be the benefactors of that move into Africa. And I don't just mean black Americans, I mean black British people too, because we saw Theresa May dancing in Ghana the other day as well. That's going to be very interesting how it plays out. You have a man like Dean Okai, and probably even brother Kalam, maybe Sarah, Raspect as well. All these people, Jay Blacks, all these people thinking about how they're going to make moves in Africa. So when I see that a prominent black figure in America is aligning himself with the president of the United States, the maths does add up for me, and so I'm going to be looking from that angle.
Could you explain?
All right.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Raskin. Let me just keep it flowing, and we're going to come back again. All right, let me just quickly go over to Emblem Films for hitting us up on the super chat. Salute to you guys. We have to sing the Donald Trump. Donald Trump. All right. I salute to you guys on the super chat. You already know, if you go onto the super chat and you hit us up there, I am compelled to read out whatever you drop in the messaging section of it. So salute to Emblem Films. Let's keep it going because we got a lot of video to go through.
I think we don't need sentences, we need pardons. We need to talk to people. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I was connected with a neuropsychologist that works with the athletes in the NBA and the NFL. And he looked at my brain. If people on 3 parts, I'm going to go ahead and drop some bombs for you. 98 percentile IQ test. I had a 75 percentile of all human beings, but it was counting 8 numbers backwards off there as a beat. So I'm going to work on that. The other one's 98%. Tesla, Freud. So he said that I actually wasn't bipolar. I had sleep deprivation, which could cause dementia 10 to 20 years from now, where I wouldn't even remember my son's name. So all this power that I got, and I'm taking my son to the Sox game and all that, I wouldn't be able to remember his name from a misdiagnosis. And what we need is we can empower the pharmaceuticals and make more money. That's one thing. I've never stepped into a situation where I didn't make people more money. So we can empower pharmaceuticals. We can empower our industry. We can empower our factories. We can bring not only Adidas on shore, we can bring Foxconn to set up a factory in, I think, Minnesota. 53,000.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, in Wisconsin. They have 4,000 jobs, people making $53,000 a year. And one of the things we got to set is Ford to have the highest design, the dopest cars, the most amazing. I don't really say dope. I don't say negative words. We just say positive, lovely, divine, universal words. So the flyest, freshest, most amazing car. And what we want to start with is, I brought a gift with me right here. This right here is the iPlane 1. And this is what our president should be flying in. Look at this here.
So get rid of Air Force One. Can we get rid of Air Force One? No, you don't like that.
Well, we're gonna have Apple, an American company, work on this plane with. But you know what I don't like about? It's not that I don't like what I need Saturday Night Live to improve on, or what I need the liberals to improve on is if he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. We have to bring jobs into America because our best export is entertainment and ideas. But when we make everything in China and not in America, then we're cheating on our country. And we're putting people in positions to have to do illegal things to end up in the cheapest factory ever, the prison system.
Cheers. All right. What you saying, family? Talk to me.
I mean, what more can I say, man? I mean, Kanye West definitely got some issues, man.
The interesting line I would say is he said, if he don't look good, We don't look good, you know.
Can I just say something? I actually agree with him with that point. Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, basically,
Yeah, go ahead.
saying back your leader, for God's sake, you know, stop joining in the mockery. Just back your leader. That's what he's saying. Okay, fair enough. You may have not been happy that he was chosen as leader, but he's leader now. Give him a chance. That's what he's saying, in my mind. Is if he looks bad, then you all will look bad. So, you know, just be a bit patriotic. That's what I got a message from it, and I agree with that. You can't, you know, destroy him like to that level, because the press hate is a bit too much. It's so fake. It's not even coming from people, it's coming from the media. So I kind of agree with Kanye right there.
Let's get some of you, more of you guys to come in. I know you guys call it as more of a slavery type of reference there. We sick, master? Are we sick? But let's
sick, master, we sick.
All right, so come on, let's keep it skippy, family, and mute your mics straight after you've spoken.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Melanie.
I think we already look bad. I mean, I'm an American, and recently I went to Canada, and just telling the people that I'm American, they was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you." Like, seriously, oh my goodness, I'm driving right now. I can't imagine me saying I'm for Donald Trump in any kind of way will somehow not make us look bad. I don't support anything that I don't believe in. I don't give a damn who says it. Like, he's the president of this country, but I won't be like, he's my president and I support his views when I don't. I mean, I think that what Kanye said was the most eloquent buck dance I've ever heard in my whole life. Him blaming people being in jail to the fact that jobs are in another country. Like, he's avoiding and dodging what the real issue is. Why not talk about the corruption in our prison system? Why not talk about how how things have a racial undertone? Why not talk about the real issue? He's over here just making stuff up and pulling it out his ass and talking real fast. I just can't. Like, that, I'm glad I didn't watch that video before today, because it's hilarious.
I completely agree with you on that, man. Like, I reckon for as long as Trump is in office, and for as long as Kanye West can have a positive relationship behind the scenes in the business world with Trump and his administration or policies and whatever, you won't see Trump criticize. You won't see Kanye West criticizing Trump. That buck dancing was all him trying to find ways to I suppose to hide his agenda. I don't know, to hide his agenda maybe, but yeah, I predict that you're not going to see him criticizing Trump until maybe something goes wrong in some business deal somewhere.
Yeah, so just to come back on what Kalam was saying earlier, I heard what you're saying, Kalam, in terms of about having this conversation and listen to a bit more of it. You're hearing, I get what you're saying about not getting to see this sort of thing happen before. A black man, a rapper, sit down with the president of the United States and just talk his mind and put across his ideas. The problem I have with that is a lot of his ideas are actually bad ones and not necessarily well thought through and really impractical. And also, I don't think Trump's really going to do much of it. I mean, it's all good getting on television, but I don't necessarily see the benefit long-term for what black people are going to benefit from it. And like Melanated Goddess said, he got up there and he really didn't address the real issues. He talked about people ending up in jobs in prison because they had to do crime and because of the jobs being in China. But that's not the whole be-all and end-all of the issue. There's more to the issue, and he should have went deeper into it, like she was saying about the issues of racism within America and some of the bigger issues that are actually affecting African-American people. And he skirted around those issues because it was convenient for him to do at the time. So I don't feel like anything really excited about just to have Kanye on television talking to the United States president. I feel like it's really just a great PR move for the president more than anything else.
Nah. He definitely.
Agreed.
Okay, go ahead.
Get out of here. Get out of here, man. I swear to God, yeah. let me just fight Kanye's case real quickly, you know, because God damn it, both of us we got the same mind at times. So hold on. Did you not hear him talk about the school to prison pipeline? Did you not hear him talking about you know, reinstalling or installing a different type of curriculum, installing mental health programs into the school system? Did you not hear him talking about meditation? Did you not hear him saying like a lot of these problems can be fixed if we have these types of curriculums and
Exactly, I agree, Titan.
so that they don't get
No, I didn't.
didn't you hear him talking about abolishing the 13th Amendment, right? Which is creating these new slaves that are working or working, you know, they're working on slave, you know, they're basically doing slave labor for these for these big companies. Like they are literally the slaves fueling these companies. He's saying abolish all of that. Are we not listening to what Kanye West is saying? No, hold on. No. Let me replay this because I might just be kissing Kanye's backside a bit too hard. Let me just double check that I'm not just making stuff up. Hold on.
The flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. We have to bring jobs into America because our best export is entertainment and ideas. But when we make everything in China and not in America, then we're cheating on our country. And we're putting people in positions to have to do illegal things to end up in the cheapest factory ever, the prison system.
Did you not hear that?
I'll tell you what, that was.
Did you not hear that? People have to do certain things, illegal things, and they're going to be ending up in the cheapest factory system, the prisons. He's saying abolish the 13th Amendment that can make free human beings into slaves by simply slipping up. God damn.
You remember what the 13th Amendment was for, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was to abolish slavery in the first place. I'm not saying that. Probably both of them need. Well, the first one, the original, needed revision anyway. This one probably needs revision, but just simply abolishing it and not putting any other safeguarding measure in is really careless, man.
All right, cool. Not to say Kanye doesn't have any good points. A lot of it, to be fair, is lost within the madness, to be fair. But he makes some good points. But like I was saying, he's sitting there talking to Trump and he's putting out all of these things. And like I said, it doesn't seem rational, or it doesn't seem like it's actually going to happen. It's like Trump sitting there nodding and shaking his head along with it. But all Trump really wants is that hug and that Kanye West calling him Superman. He doesn't really care about Kanye West's policy ideas or any of that, to be fair. And in terms of changing the school system or the curriculum and addressing the prison to school pipeline, I agree with that and I hear that. However, like I said, he didn't address the racial undertones to that and the issues around that within America and the issues of equality within America in the first place, and how the actual economic system of America currently contributes to the widening that gap of inequality. He didn't talk about any of that. He scared over all of that because it's convenient for both him and Trump not to discuss those parts. But I do agree the curriculum should be changed. Will Trump do anything about it? I doubt it. But sorry, I just had to jump in and drop all of that because I got to go now because I got work tomorrow and I got a couple of stuff to do before that. But it's been nice being on the show and I'm blessed. And I'm going to keep listening for the next little bit anyway. So.
Oh man, scattered minds. All right, family. There's a few people that will be leaving the panel so far. So please jump in, right? Jump in as soon as possible. I want you guys in. I know we got Big Bro trying to get in. We got Raf trying to get in as well. Afro Man, Raf, come on, man. I want to get you guys in. This is a big show, so I want you guys to come on and have your voices heard. I'm just sending you the link right now, Raf, on Facebook Messenger. Give me a second. All right, I'm going to go back into that video in a little while. Just bear with me, family. Just bear with me. And let's get it on. Let's get it on.
Yeah.
Yo.
Shall I jump up for a moment? Somebody else can jump on the panel.
Oh, that would be excellent. That would be excellent.
I will do that.
All right, awesome. Thanks. Anybody else?
I can drop out. I can drop out as well, but I did want to chime in when the conversation got on abortion. So I'll check back in.
You sure? Because I know you're over in America. Your voice is needed. But all right, anybody else? TJ, anybody else? So, all right, let me go back into this. Hopefully, Big Bro and others can jump in as well. TJ, anybody else? So, all right, let me go back into this. Hopefully, Big Bro and others can jump in as well. Whoever that is, please mute your mic. So, all right, cool. So, family, keep your mics muted. If your mic's muted, as soon as you come in, mute up your mics. All right, so let's go back into this video. As you come in, mute up your mics.
You know, I hate to say this, Jim. Do you want to say something? What do you do after that?
You don't mind.
You are friend. Please, Jim. Please. Great, right? Isn't that a great statement? Please, Jim. Please. It's true. As a country, it's so true. Right. I've never seen Jim Brown impressed before. He was impressed. That's true. That statement is amazing. I want to tell you, it's great to have you guys with us, and we're going to go in. We're going to have some lunch. That was quite something. That was quite something. Yeah, that was really, really very interesting. Yes, you please.
You said President Bush doesn't care about black. You for something to say about this. What do you respond to that?
Hold on, because it seems that on unmute your mics. Wanna keep your mic them lock off. If you wanna get lock off, all right?
I think we need to care about all people, and I believe that when I went on to NBC, I was very emotional, and I was programmed to think from a victimized mentality, a welfare mentality. I think that with blacks and African Americans, we really get caught up in the idea of racism over the idea of industry. We say if people don't have land, they settle for brands. We want Polo Sport and Obama again. We want a brand more than we want land because we haven't known how it feels to actually have our own land and have ownership of our own blocks. So when you don't have ownership, then it's all about how something looks. It's about the patina. It's not about the soil. It's not about the core. So we focus more on, is somebody wearing something? Is someone disrespecting? So I gotta shoot them. Or the idea of someone being racist. You know, we talk about police murders, which we definitely have to discuss, and we have to bring nobility to the police officers and make sure the police officers are just like us. But this is this whole hate building, right? And that's a major thing about racial tension. Like we also, as black people, we have to take a responsibility for what we're doing. We kill each other more than police officers, and that's not saying that the police officer is not an issue because they are in a position of power. But sometimes they're in placement of law enforcement. They need to be law power. It's force versus power. You shouldn't have to force people to do that. So a lot of times the police officers sitting there, they're being forced to do this and forced to do that block, and then they force somebody into something and force something. We have to release the love throughout the entire country and give opportunities. A lot of times it's just the overall lack of reparations that we, at any given point, we say, oh, this is racist, this is racist, this is racist, this is racist. So we don't have the reparations, but we have the 13th Amendment. We got to open up the whole conversation. So, and that's a move. One of the moves that I love that liberals try to do. The liberal would try to control a black person through the concept of racism because they know that we are very proud, emotional people. So when I said I like Trump to like someone that's liberal, they'll say, oh, but he's racist. You think racism can control me? Oh, that don't stop me. That's an invisible wall. Mr. West, what would you like? Oh, you're crazy. You have one.
All right. Let's get it, family. Let's get it.
He was right about that. You know what I'm saying? He was right about that because that's like, that's what the left does. The left will play this, oppression Olympics game, where everybody's on this totem pole. And if you're on the top, which is right now for the left, which is Muslims, and then at the bottom of the totem pole is white, straight Christian males, and everybody, in between. And that's what the left has done. They play their vote bank politics and they cater to their vote banks, and that's how they win. And I think, now people are starting to change their minds about this. And I think him pointing out the hypocrisy of liberals is, he was on point with that. Absolutely, 100% on point with that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Can I just say something? I agree because they've used that whole, that's racist,
Exactly.
And it's just annoying. And I actually agree with Kanye when he said that.
Yeah.
And I've been called a racist too. Like saying just because I support limited government and free markets and I support the individual over the state or over a party or anything, and somehow I'm a Nazi and I'm a fascist. And I'm like, how does that make any sense? How does that make any sense at all?
In fact, it's the liberals that are very, very racist because they put people in a little box and they're just really patronizing. They've just gotten really worse lately, and they've all got this feminist thing as well that doesn't include, black women. All these liberals, they've gone crazy basically.
But also look at the other blacks who continue this liberal agenda by calling Kanye coon, you know, that has a lot to do with it as well. They planning on their emotions as well. Like he said, a lot of blacks are emotional. They've been raised around their uh, single mothers all their life, so they do have that emotional tension within. And the liberals are playing against on it. All you're gonna hear is everybody call him coon. All these other celebrities that used to do music with him, all of a sudden are calling him coon because of his ideals.
Exactly. And they also say it's like, come on, black people, get angry, get angry. Like they're trying to control our emotions. You know, it's time for you to get angry. And it's like, as black people, we're just fed up. Like, no, we're not going to be angry when you want us to be angry.
I agree with both of you guys on those points about the emotional manipulation of the Black African Americans and stuff. What I would say, in fact, I've lost my point now. Someone step in.
Oh, look at the victim mentality that a lot of blacks also like to portray. Like when they can't find a solution to the problem, they like to point at other issues except for themselves. Like he pointed a good example. A lot of the crime is black on black crime. Once that stopped, it would alleviate a lot of the issues that cops have to go out there in dangerous neighborhoods trying to protect these folks who don't even love themselves. So I think it's hard for cops to actually go out there and even care, because it's like, you want me to go out there and get shot for these folks who don't even, you know? So it's a lot. But again, as soon as Kanye says something intelligent, is finding a solution, all these other folks who can't find a solution and want to play the victim I want to say they want to start being racist, cooning. He's cooning, they cooning together. So and it was just nasty just seeing all the celebrities do that.
This is popular culture, man. You see Don Lemon on I think CNN or wherever it was, saying he's what was he saying? Oh, this is a minstrel show. That's what he said.
Oh yeah, Don Lemon. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Eric Dyson said the same thing. He said that, you know, Kanye West was a puppet, and you know, Trump was pulling the strings basically, which I thought was bullshit. But I mean, you know, you want to talk about racism though? Like, you know, let's look at Lyndon B. Johnson, the guy who came up with that whole, you know, like, you know, grand society scheme of welfare and all that. What did he say? And I'm quoting him. He said, you know, once he passed that bill, he said, well, you know, and this is him. This isn't me. This is him. He said, and I quote, "We will have these niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years."
Right.
That's what he said. And you want to talk about the...
Can I just jump in? In the UK, we have the Labour Party. We had the right wing of the Labour Party for many years, and they got so used to the black vote that they just didn't even bother, you know, asking us what you want, what should we do, because they knew that black people and ethnic minorities will vote for them. So they just got so cocky, and now we have a new type of Labour Party, which is more inclusive, and whereas the right part, the liberal part of the Labour Party, they're going mad because they're the same people as the Democrats in America, the same system, that whole charity thing, whining and dining that they love doing and pretending they're saviors. So yeah, and we've had that same problem here as well. They just got so used to the minority vote that they just didn't even bother. And I can see why Black Americans are fed up as well.
I just say, I don't understand one thing, why I'm sure people on this panel, and I think if Big Bro was in it, he'd probably be able to speak on that as well. The political process in the United States, where we believe that Obama was hugely different to Trump. Obviously, they're two different people, but their administrations are being administrated by other persons. So it's interesting we're having this Democrat-Republican conversation, because that conversation is only relevant to the masses of people who believe that there is actually a difference and have been sold that lie. Same way in this country, you know, mentioning Labour Party, the Conservatives, the this, the that, the that, the this, the this, the that. Again, it's the same situation. So I don't like to always try and remove the conversation away from the detail that's being discussed, but I think sometimes it's really important to get that context so that we know what the hell we're actually talking about.
I was just making a comparison that, you know, they have this liberal part of Labour has been so used to the minority vote that they just didn't bother doing anything to help them. They would be like, oh, they'll vote for us anyway, so we don't need to do anything. So I feel like the Democrats in America had the same problem with the minority vote. They were so used to it. So that's my point.
From the states, what I see is that the Democratic and Republican parties are just ideals. They're just ideals.
All right, family. I need to go back into the video because we're running out of time. It's been over an hour since we've been on air. We're running out of time.
One question, we go to another question. I answered your question. I don't answer questions in simple sound bites. You are tasting a fine wine. It has multiple notes to it. You better play 4D chess with me like the Minority Report. Because it ain't that simple. It's complex.
Mr. West, why would you like, I'm going to Chicago's on time, so I would like to know what you would like to ask President Trump to do for Chicago. We're here to talk about crime in Chicago.
The thing that the head of the police and Mike Sachs met with me last night at the Soho House about was we feel that stop and frisk does not help the relationships in the city. And everyone that knew I was coming here said, ask about stop and frisk. That's the number one thing that we're having this conversation about. Another thing is opening up industries, and we've got to get some tax breaks too, because we're making we got a speed factory in Atlanta, but the shoes are costing us $300, so it's costing us too much to make things. So we need some prototypes here so we can get people back working. So China can't just beat us, and Vietnam can't beat us. Got Levi's, the greatest jeans company in the world, making their jeans in Vietnam. So we're going to need to get a few breaks to be able to have some places in my hometown of Chicago and 2.7 million to 9 million surrounding suburbs where we can create some factories. And I think it'd be cool for them to be Trump factories because he's a master of industry. He's a builder. And I think it'd be cool to have Yeezy ideation centers, which would be a mix of education that empowers people and gives them modern information. Like sometimes people say, this kid has ADD, this kid has ADD. You don't have ADD, school is boring. It was boring. It's not as exciting as this. We have to make it more exciting.
That's another topic. Let me hold
that.
Let me hold that one. That's another topic. All right.
I was going to say, does anyone in that room think, does anyone think that people are actually taking him seriously in that room?
Does it really matter? I mean, it's
being used as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the people, all the millions of people around the world who.
No, I'm muting your mics, okay? I'm only speaking on the points that he raised.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that point.
So he raised the point in there. He raised several points actually. But one of the key points was to do with stop and frisk, which is for us, stop and search, and the relationship that it garners with the police. What do you think?
Stop and search is it's funny because they already know who they're going to stop and search. You know, it's not like they're going to stop and search everybody. That is who they potentially feel, which is the minorities, the blacks, the Arabs, the Muslims. Those are who they're going to target. So I mean, he's right. It's useless. It should go back again to the fundamentals. Is a crime being committed, and move along from that point.
But when we stop and search in London, I mean, the stabbings and like the violence just went through the roof. And you just got people running around on mopeds like with knives on them, just not caring because they know that the police are not going to stop and look for it anyway.
That might be a mental issue. That might be. I mean, we don't know where that's stemming from as far as what their intentions are. You know, you can't just stop and frisk everybody just because. Bad things happen all the time.
I think
as far as the solution, I don't know, but
yeah, sorry. I think I prefer to live in a society where you can preemptively, try and avoid things, then let them happen and then deal with it after.
Yeah, Raskin, how do you know it didn't have anything to do with austerity?
Well, isn't there the statistic? There's more young people employed in London now than there has been for like the last 10 years.
What? Are you having a laugh? You mean unemployed?
That's actually that's a statistic.
No, they're not. They're actually running around in gangs. Why are you inventing stories? They're working at 0 hours and they're too poor to survive, so they have to turn to crime. So that's the reality of young people in London. They have no access to EMA, no access to university because it's too expensive. The universities are for the super rich that come here, send their children.
Yeah, unemployment rate falls to 4% with record low.
Yeah, you know, back to the stop and frisk thing. Like, contrary to popular opinion, back in the 90s, New York was a lot more violent. I mean, if you actually do the research, you'll see that the murder rate was about 2,000 per year. Now that's dropped to about 400 a year. So it's like dropped, you know, quarter, sorry, 3/4. So basically, stop and frisk has had some impact. So you can do that research yourself. So crime, I think Callum said from the start, it has been in decline. Contrary to popular opinion, yes, we see it all in our newspapers, but crime has been on the decline.
Are you talking about London?
No, he's talking about the US. But
Oh.
Kanye was talking about Chicago only, right?
Yeah. I don't know what the stats are for Chicago, but I know nationally and internationally that crime, like especially violent crime, because back in the 90s, I mean, during, you know, gangster, when you had, you know, like, you know, the West Coast and all that stuff, it was a far more violent place. Things weren't recorded. We didn't have the level of CCTV and surveillance that we have now. A lot of people are just locked up. But if you just look at it, violent crime as a whole has gone down significantly.
I'm on YouTube, and all these bloggers on YouTube are saying how bad the crime rate is in Chicago. It's really...
I think the difference is it's young people. The young people are taking more risks, so young people are doing more. I think before it was more adults, but now young people are taking kind of, you know, violence into their own hands. So I think young people, especially from the ages of 13 upwards, they're becoming more violent, but violence overall has dropped.
This is probably the reason why. Well, it's definitely let's see if we can all agree that obviously America needs reform in it, and this is the general point that Kanye is making. Whether he makes it poorly or whether he makes it with clarity, obviously they probably both agree that America needs reform in it. How that plays out, I'm not sure. In terms of the statistics, I can never really trust statistics coming from whatever police department of whatever nation. But yeah, it needs reform. And I guess to pick up on what Kanye is saying, he's obviously when Trump got into office, he was talking about, you know, someone mentioned it in another video the other day about America first. And yeah, that's the policy he's kind of trying to push, America first. So let's sort out our own backyard and then we can deal with whatever, which isn't strictly what they're doing because they are still building army bases all around the world. But anyway, yeah, the America first idea, obviously, if he can draw in Black America in some way to kind of facilitate that idea, then what it might be is, yes, some things will be reformed. There might be a little bit of give and take between kind of the Black population, the Latino population, the whatever population, all the minorities in America. There might be some give and take between themselves and the state and the police department, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, this is about pacifying, in some ways, the nation, but also educating the nation. How that education plans out, like when Kanye's talking about Montessori and all these kind of stuff, again, these are great ideas. There are other nations that have implemented a lot of these stuff. Whether America's going to do, in fact, Montessori was created by, I think, an American woman. I'm not too sure. But it's all ideas. And just like Scattered Minds was saying before he left, it's all ideas. And really, we need to see how these things play out to decide whether it's just a PR stunt or whatever it is.
Kalam, do you want us to comment on whatever you showed right now? I do want to do a general comment, but I can wait.
Yeah, let's wait.
Okay.
Wow, you know, you actually just secretly, yeah, I'm tired. You know, secretly, I'm tired, family. I don't even know if I could do the second topic by myself. All right, let's play this video.
Centers, which would be a mix of education that empowers people and gives them modern information. Like sometimes people say, this kid has ADD, this kid has ADD. You don't have ADD, school is boring. It was boring. It's not as exciting as this. We have to make it more exciting. We have to mix curriculums. You play basketball while you're doing math. You learn about music while you meditate in the morning. We have to instate mental health and art programs back into.
Let me comment on that.
Back to the city. So those are, and also Larry Hoover is an example of a man that was turning his life around. As soon as he tried to turn his life around, they hit him with 6 life sentences. So I believe you say don't tear down the statues. Larry Hoover is a living statue. He's a beacon for us that needs to see his family, that needs to go out and represent. When you have a block leader on every single block, they can own the block as their own. That's something I learned from Jim Brown, from American. We need to put curriculums from people who really came from the streets, not people who are just trying to set us up to go into a work system or prison system that applies to what people are really going through, which Jim Brown has created.
What about gun violence with all the debate about the Second Amendment going on?
The problem is illegal guns. Illegal guns is the problem, not legal guns. We have the right to bear arms.
Sugar. Sorry. God damn, you know what, family, yeah? I'm falling asleep, you know, while I'm listening to this thing, you know. I'm apologizing. But let's go back up to the education thing. Let me get to
that was a really good point, Titan. I agree. We need that kind of education here in the UK because the education system is too rigid. We need something like that that will benefit, you know, working class people up and down the country.
Yeah.
He made so much sense, you know. It shouldn't be so rigid that, you know, you could have an arts course and as well as therapy, sort of art therapy on the other side, you know, so link it. So I think he made sense.
Yeah, standards in school in America have absolutely gone to shit. And I think if, you know, families have more school choice options and be given vouchers, I think that would really help out too. But it's, you know, you know, we're actually raising a generation of indoctrinated idiots who come out of school. Like, you know, colleges now, like, you know, nowadays are, you know, run by the left, and kids will actually come into college and leave stupider than they actually came in. You know, they believe in these ideas of, like, you know, Marxist revolution and, like, you know, all this notion of, like, you know, of like, you know, critical theory and all this other bullshit. And to me, if you give people more school choice and give them vouchers, I think that can level the playing field. But, you know, our standards in schools has gone downhill so bad. And I think, you know, for him to bring that up is actually a great point. But, you know, it's going to, you know, because, you know, if you look at every single inner city in America where there's a killing field, you'll see it's run by Democrats. And it has been run by Democrats for the last 50 to 100 years. So unless that can change, then I don't see anything changing.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
Sorry, I was going to say I agree with that because basically at the moment.
Talking. Hold on, my G. I don't know if you lot can hear me or not when I'm talking. But for real, my son actually went to you know, a Montessori nursery, and I would have to recommend it. Montessori nurseries are sick still. Like he had yoga, he had art, he had music therapy as well. You know, technology, IT, all of that good stuff at such a young age. So I would definitely recommend these Montessori nurseries for anybody who's interested. Just real quickly.
I agree, and it's currently the people that can afford those kind of nurseries that go there. It will be nice. It will be nice if it was, you know, available for normal people. That would really benefit them in the future. And there needs to be some sort of handy, sort of practical skills, like learning technical practical skills, which were around in the 60s. Funny enough, 70s, there was a lot of schools that offered different routes rather than academic. Right now it's just academic. It's literally rote learning, and so many children just get bored with that and drop out and fail and go into crime, or are kept in these institutions called, it's called pupil premium. Not pupil, it's called pupil referral. That's it. That's just a dumping ground, a sin bin, basically, which is a route to crime. So
going back to what Kanye said, is that, you know, if you brought jobs back home to America and these big corporations stop abusing third world countries like Nike making stuff and Levi making stuff in Vietnam, and Walmart had like a massive factory in Bangladesh, if they brought factories home and there was more jobs for like working class people, then they would have money to go to these nurseries and go to like better schools and stuff.
Real quickly, family, like, how are we gonna have over 230, 40,000 people in right now, and y'all ain't hitting up the like button? Come on, man. I know you are enjoying these types of conversations, because you wouldn't be here for this long listening into this. So can we get some likes up in here, family? Make sure you share this with your friends and your families and continue this same conversation off air. All right, please go and show your friends and family the Kanye video. Don't just simply show the bits that the media wants you to see. Because you know the media will be showing you, these bits here and be like, oh, look at that, look at Kanye. Yeah, nah, 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 nah. Like, watch the whole thing, make an informed decision. Stop going for the sound bites or these little like fake news clips. Like, watch the whole thing and then make an informed decision about Kanye West or about anybody. It's so easy. The media really do know how to show you, like, the crumb and make it look as though it's the actual cake. All right, let me get Active Mind, because Active Mind, I did cut you, so please can I get you back in again? Active Mind, are you there? Nope. All right, did anybody want to make a point before we go on to the next?
Has anyone heard of Ken Robinson?
Who?
Yep. He's an educator, a former university lecturer. Yeah, about 9 years ago, I saw his TED talk. I think a few people have seen his TED talk now. A lot of these ideas are not new. It's just we have people on particular platforms being able to broadcast these ideas, and obviously the majority of the public don't know about, say, Montessori. They don't know about the different types of education, of learning environments you can create. So yeah, Ken Robinson's a G. I suggest people check out the Ken Robinson talk. There's two of them. One of them is Do Schools Kill Creativity? And this is all about interdisciplinary learning and what Kanye is talking about there. It's nothing new though, but yeah, it's all a good idea.
Yeah, it's Montessori schools like anarchist type of schools, or what is it like? I've heard of it still, and I've heard of something like anarchist type of schools, but I don't know if it's all the same thing or whatnot.
Did you say anarchist?
Yeah.
No, that's a funny way to describe it. No, it's I mean, Kalam said his youth went to a Montessori nursery, so he could probably describe a little bit of his experience there. If that's on topic or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on topic, but I don't even know how to describe it. It's anarchist. I wouldn't call it anarchist because there was order to it as well.
Nah, that's the thing. Like the way they define anarchist is different. But don't worry. Yeah, how was it?
Yeah, it was very. How can I put it? It was wholesome. It really, fulfilled or educated the child as a human. Like every single aspect of the child, its creativity, playing with, the earth, playing with water, insects, going on to trips to museums, going to zoos, all sorts. There was a lot going on, a lot of teaching, a lot of independence teaching as well. Like it was remarkable just to see that itself, like giving the children so much independence to make up their own decisions. I loved it.
Guys, I was just going to ask you, what do you think about automation and its future, and in terms of training the workforce and educating our children? They say that like 50% of jobs are going to be obsolete in the future. Are we actually training our children with the right skill sets? They said half of university degrees are going to be scrapped. What are your thoughts on that?
That's off topic, but yeah, it's a good discussion to have still.
Well, it's back to education because, as I said, if the education system, I think we need a complete overhaul because we're not training kids with skills that are relevant to this modern age economy.
That is so true. And the funny part is Kanye was right.
Exactly.
what was Kanye right about?
The fact that the education system needs an overhaul.
Yeah, we all know that though. That's like a given. Like Kanye saying that is not a revolutionary position. The fact that he's in the White House saying it gives it credence. And this is what I was saying. There's a lot of people that have been fighting for some of these things and innovating different sectors of industry like education, etc., etc. There's even there's schools in this country, well, not even schools, but academies or training centers like the Manhood Academy for Boys, that do various things and they try and promote their thing. And it's all of a sudden, when it becomes a capitalist, when it becomes beneficial to some kind of capitalist agenda, That's when these things are allowed to be aired. To be honest, I don't think Trump was expecting Kanye to say all of that stuff in it. And big up Kanye for saying some of them things. So, you know, I can't take that away from him at all.
So then what is the issue with Kanye? That's why, because I come on here to defend Kanye. So what's the actual issue with Kanye then?
Because he's not singing and being silly. Because he's saying something political, people are going mad.
Let me give my take on that.
Political.
Let me think. Because I think this is a perception-based conversation. It's basically confirmation bias. You guys know about this, right?
Yeah.
Whenever Kanye says something good, it's because Kanye agrees with you. But whenever he disagrees with you, it's because he's mentally ill, right? I mean, Trump's engagement with Black people was not something that started at 2016 or with Kanye West. If you go back in 2000 or in the 80s and 90s, I mean, he got a reward from was it Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali, as well as Jesse Jackson, for his involvement. You guys include that in your analysis, that he's not just, you know, playing games and just use Kanye?
Well, to be honest, no one on the panel, I don't think, as far as I remember, has called him crazy.
Yeah, I've heard it here before. Someone said something about him being mentally ill, as well as in the chat.
I just think he's a loser, man.
That was just someone saying that he's stated that he's bipolar.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant, right?
Most artists have.
And he's bipolar was fine, right?
Yeah, but bro, we're not saying. Look, I think you're getting confused between the people on the panel and the people out in the real world. Yeah,
the media.
Many people. Well, many people like since this video came out have been cussing Kanye West. Yeah, saying before they even listen to his points, they're saying he's mad, blah blah blah. Someone suggested he shouldn't be out there putting himself out there like that. He should just be at home resting up and all this kind of stuff. That's not really. I've not heard that argument here on the panel.
Yeah, I think you're minimizing this. This is quite this actually happens quite frequent. People actually pointing to his. Can I finish my point?
Sorry.
All right. So people actually pointed to his mental illness as a way to discredit what he's saying right now. But his mental illness was fine when they actually agree with him.
Oh no, I don't see you. I don't see what you're talking. I don't see what you're saying. I don't agree.
I would say that the reason why I come on because I was hearing some of that stuff, but I can't specifically point to anyone in the panel who said it. I can't.
Well, he said he was crazy. Someone here was it Robskin?
Yeah, I don't know who said it, but someone
CNN said it as well.
Yeah, people were getting onto him, and I was just like, guys, we're doing this again. Like when he last time said slavery was a choice, and everyone just went with the soundbite and ran away with it instead of actually listening to what my man actually said.
Right.
That's what most people actually do. Yeah. Again, I don't. Maybe I missed it in it, but I haven't really heard it on the panel. Yeah.
I think we were saying that CNN said he was crazy. I don't think anyone actually said.
Oh yeah, that was Don Lemon saying. Yeah, exactly. That was Don Lemon on CNN saying he's it's a minstrel show and blah 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 blah. So Takia, yeah, I don't think. Yeah, if you just speak to the people on the panel, I think you'll soon find out that no one really has that position.
Yeah, but someone mentioned that he was mentally ill, but I'm fine with that. But I think we're forgetting something actually.
I'm gonna mute you guys out because I want to just play the video. So I'm trying to get to my bed. I'm just realizing how tired I am. Yeah, so I apologize, family. I can't even stay here for too long, right? So let's get the video finished with.
President Trump has said that he favors stop and frisk. Are you guys discussing that? Do you think you can change his mind?
Yeah, we're gonna discuss. I didn't mean to put you on blast like that, bro. But this is definitely.
I'm open-minded. I'm here. Yeah. I am open-minded. He can speak for me anytime he wants. He's been a great guy. He's a smart cookie. Smart. He gets it. These two guys, Jim Brown, he's been doing this for a long time.
Future presidential candidates?
Could very well be.
Only after.
Could very well be. That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
We have a good. And the thing is, let's stop worrying about the future. All we really have is today. We just have today, over and over and over again, the eternal return, the hero's journey. And Trump is on his hero's journey right now. And he might have expected to have a crazy motherfucker like Kanye West run up and support. But best believe, we are going to make America great. Now, the thing is, another thing is black people have an issue with the word again. And I believe my feeling from that is because I'm going to go all the way Sigmund with it, because time is a myth. All we have is now, all we have is today. So the word again, it doesn't hurt us because of the idea of racism and slavery and this different thing. It hurts us because we need to focus on who we are now, today. I believe. So I actually brought some hats in that have a bit of a transition. I'm not trying to put you up there, smile a little bit. I made a hat that says "Make America Great." Just that. But I would love to see at the Super Bowl, Trump wearing the "Make America Great" hat, Colin making America great, and showing that we can benefit on this side, and we can learn how to be malleable in the infinite universe that we are and the loving beings that we are. That we don't have to stick to our traditions, and that we aren't a side. We are one unit. We are one country. We are one moment in history and time. We might have been here before, but right now we're here together. And the greatest value that people have are other people. And we need to stop working on red and blue. It's like a gang again.
Talk to me, family. Talk to me.
See that point again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That
always,
point again.
man.
He said make America great. He didn't say make America great again. He said make America great. That's what people need to understand. Like he's talking about just doing stuff where we get America to be good. You understand? So I don't know, man. I'm confused why people keep going on about him being mentally ill and whatnot. I'm not talking about people in the panel. I'm not talking about people in the panel. Just in general, innit? People who say that.
Yeah, I was going to say Kanye. I do think he is bipolar because I'm sure I listened to his recent album and he even mentioned that bipolar is his superpower. So yeah, if you listen to it, I don't know whether you guys have listened to his recent album, but he says bipolar is my superpower. So I don't know whether he actually admitted it himself.
Yeah, he's admitted a few times. He's admitted.
Let's be serious here. Kanye West is a self-made millionaire. There's nothing crazy about him.
He's not a self-made millionaire, bro. No one's a self-made millionaire. If you're making £1 million or the £2 billion, you haven't done that by yourself, innit? Like, and this is the thing about these black rappers and stuff is like they're willing to do X, Y, and Z, claim that they're self-made millionaires, and then think that they can now decide the fate of, because what the sister was saying earlier on, I think she's gone now, about Kanye West is not a politician. Actually, anyone who has been able to kind of corral that many people to buy something of theirs is become a politician by default. So yeah, he's definitely not a self-made billionaire.
What I'm saying is he's a businessman. Like that's what he does, and he does business.
Right.
I think that you're making this all about Kanye. I mean, conservative have gained support. I mean, it was 10% 2016, right? Now it should be 29%, something like that. And yeah, it shouldn't be just about Kanye. You know, let's say that he's all mentally ill, but something's happening. Black people are all looking more at the conservative movements. And what I would want to contribute here with this, on my last. Can you guys see my screen on my last contribution? Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So you're missing one point. I mean, if white people can be diverse in what they believe in political questions, why can't black people be like that? So here's a study where you look at personality in politics, which is one of the strongest prediction what you will actually vote for. So here I have a study in front of me. You can look at it later if you want. Here's another one. This is peer-reviewed study. It's called The Secret Lives of Liberals and Conservatives, and they look at their profile when it comes to personality, and they divide them in 5 categories. Have you heard about Big Five? So the strongest prediction.
Are you trying to say that some black people think that some black people can't be diverse in their opinions? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying the strongest prediction for you to become a conservative is if you like order. That is the strongest prediction. And if you're going to become a liberal, that is if you're more open to new ideas. You want to try new things. While conservatives like more order. They want to try things that they already know more about. So according to the study here that I have in front of me here, which is not a small study, by the way, I'll show you here, just if anybody wants to fact check me later. Let me get to page 12. Okay, here we have it. A study with 19,000 people. It's not a small study, you know. The strongest prediction if you're going to become liberal is if you are open to new ideas, while conservatives are more, they like orders. So why can't black people have this diverse thoughts, you know? Maybe Kanye West is all about responsibility. He likes order. He likes to be challenged, while liberals would be more like, they will like try new things, they like more safeguards. So I just want to contribute this, that we know personality should be the strongest prediction for what you will choose politically.
To be honest, the prediction of what would make a liberal sounds more like Kanye. And if you go back to that thing, you will see it's talking about like fantasy and all.
Which one?
You see where you had like the chart with the arrow.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let me get it. Yeah, here.
Yeah,
openness.
That definitely sounds like Kanye.
So yeah, you're talking about ideas, new action, athlete, fantasy. Yeah, I mean that's the creative part of him, right? But he also believes in responsibility, order. So yeah.
How?
Responsibility, order. Let's fix our community. So all right, so this happened to us from external forces, but this is also we are contributing with. Let's be honest with ourselves and let's fix this together. Instead of actually, it's all outside forces. It's racism. Sure, that exists in American context, but we also have to take responsibility for our contribution. So that's just all I'm going to say. Personality and politics, there's a strong connection between them.
Yeah, to be honest though, I don't think that's anything new. Like I think every black person who has designs of making their life better has understood the value of kind of more conservative positions and the value of their nature, which is to be fantastical, to be creative, to be all of these things. So it's nothing new, man. I don't think, where Raskin Bobbins has just said, that sounds more like Kanye. It's like, really, he's probably an amalgamation of both of those boxes that you were pointing at. So I don't know, and I would also suggest that when you start having money, I think the sister Melanated Goddess said it earlier on, when you come into money, you become more conservative by default anyway, because you are now in the game. You want to make more money, and you're going to use the systems that, like Jay-Z, when he first started out, wasn't using any system other than going and selling drugs. And then once he'd sold all his drugs and whatever, then he was selling his music out of the boot of his car, right? So, and now that he's in the game, now that he has a serious stack of cash behind him, he's obviously playing the game a little bit more, and he's probably more interested in more conservative ideas of how to further his agenda. So
let me challenge that. Let me challenge that, because he had money when he challenged Bush and said that Bush is a racist, right? So I've heard him explain this to himself later, or to a journalist later. He said basically that I had this victimhood mentality when I accepted this narrative that people were against us, And this is basically the victimhood mentality, where you think that you are capable, but you have outside forces which are hindering you. And if that's true, you can call it racism. But what if that's not true? Then you're actually having myths that you've accepted. The alternative is that you have ability and you have also opportunities, but you can't see it. Do you see the difference?
Yep. All right. Can I just get back into the video? Remember, family, I want to go to my bed, okay? So I apologize, everybody. I'm sleepy.
Question, you're in the Oval Office. Okay. How does it feel to be in the Oval Office?
Oh, it is good energy in this.
Isn't it good energy? Yeah.
It's good.
It's a great place. Jim, how do you feel?
I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good.
You're so respected. And what Kanye's doing has been incredible. All over the world, they're talking about this. And I have to tell you, I had important meetings today with senators and with everything. Nobody cared. They wanted this meeting. This is the meeting. Is that right? I can say that to John. No, the others were good, right? But this is what they want. Well, it's my honor, Jim. I want to tell you, I've been a fan of yours for a long time. A long time. Nobody like you. Nobody like you. No athlete like you.
You know what I mean? I'm here to serve.
Well, it's really nice, man. Well, and that's always been the way Jim has been for a long time. And he just wanted to help, and it's something special. Jennifer, did you have a question?
I guess just what do you feel about Tom Cruise? What do you know?
Well, we're going to look at it. I'm open to everything. Hey, look, I think it's a shame what's happening in Chicago. I'm in Chicago a lot, too. I have nice things in Chicago. You know that, right? And I hate to see what's happening. They're having numbers of people being shot and killed, and it's not for this country. So they have to do something, and I am totally open. We can do it a different way, Kanye. I'm totally open. But they have to do, we all agree they have to do something. That's for sure.
Is it a law enforcement issue or legislation?
Well, maybe it's a combination of both. I guess it is, but I think it's probably a combination of both. And it's also a respect issue. They respect this guy. They respect this guy. That's a big thing. Right now, they're not respecting, let's say, your mayor or let's say your leadership in Chicago, but certainly it shouldn't be happening. What's going on there should not be happening. Steve, go ahead.
What do you want this meeting to lead to?
Honestly, from our standpoint, this was just set up to be a lunch of two people that I like, and I guess they like me. And we're gonna have lunch. We're gonna talk.
He said, yes, I love you.
I know. But I don't want to put you in that spot.
No, I'm standing in that spot. I love this guy right here. Let me get this guy. I love this guy right here.
Yeah, amen. Yes, that's really. And that's from the heart. I didn't want to put you in that position, but that's from the heart. Special guy. These two are special people. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, they're special people. And I appreciate it. Jim, Kanye, I appreciate it. So let's go have some lunch. Okay? Thank you all very much.
All right, guys, let's go. Make your way out.
That was great. Great, John. Huh?
All right. Now, watching that whole video, I want to know, was it really as bad as people were making out to be? I want to know. Let me know, family. Was it really as bad as people were initially making out?
It's the liberal media. It's the liberal media. They can't take the fact that they're losing. You know, they can't. You know, ever since the election back in 2016, they're still in denial. They're still in denial. Liberals are still in denial. And I think that's why they're not going to win next month either, because they're going so far to the left with this, socialism and social justice and all that bullshit, that they're going to lose again, in my view.
Yeah, but it's not about who wins. At the end of the day, the corporate companies are the ones that have these politicians in their pockets.
Yeah, so then why make government bigger then? Why do liberals want to make government bigger? If government is the problem, why make it bigger?
That's what I'm saying. You can't really see how you're getting played. That's what I'm saying. They're playing a game.
Yep.
No, but I'm saying that they'll make the argument that, hey, government they basically believe that, the state knows better than you, basically is what they believe. So if government is the problem and has been the problem, why would you want to make that entity bigger? Why?
Who are you talking about? Are you talking about the liberal politicians or the liberal?
Yes. Yes. Mainly liberal politicians and liberals in general.
Yeah, the reason is because that's their job. That's how they're making their money, by being liberal politicians. If you suddenly try to collapse the entire political system, that's a problem for them, right? So of course, if they're they're politicians, bro. That's their day job, innit? So they want to continue being politicians. They don't want the whole political paradigm to collapse. So they're going to perpetuate whatever it is they perpetuate, right? It's not in their interests to, like you're saying, you're asking the question, why are they trying to enlarge the government or the state or whatever? Of course, why not? More work for them, more money for them, more lobbyists, more little backhand deals, more everything. Come on, man.
And anybody that disagrees with them is called a Nazi or a fascist, which is completely the opposite of what.
Let me get on that. I was a lifelong liberal. And I'm black brother that lives in Sweden, and the thing that turns me on, I've always voted for the left. The thing that turns me off is the same thing that Kanye said in the beginning. He put on his cap, and people try to scare him for disagreeing with them. Basically, as soon as he's trying to deviate from the plantation, then you actually will see that it's all about control. They don't really care about you. And if they did, they should love you regardless, right? But they don't accept any freedom of thought. As soon as you deviate from that, they see you as you're bearing this mind virus. Do anybody else want to comment on that?
Being very homogeneous.
Nobody should control me.
Let me comment.
We'll never accept that.
What plantation are you talking about?
Let me comment on this.
The liberal plantation.
Let me comment on this.
Please.
I think Kalam also needs to do a show on this called The Left and all this thing, because when we talk about the left, there is actually technically two types of left. We have the left where we're going towards socialism, then what you could see as the democratic or the Labour type of left, where they're not actually left, but they're left in like all the red and whatever, but they actually practice what you would call right-wing type of politics, centralist type of politics, if you understand what I mean. So I think people are conflicting. They're thinking that this left thing is more like liberals and this is going towards social. No, socialists don't promote them type of things there. Well, I'm a socialist myself, so I'm just saying it from my experience anyway. But yeah,
can I respond as well to the brother?
Please do.
Yeah, you were saying about how the basically the black American public, I think you were probably referring to them.
So I live in Europe.
Sorry?
So I live in Europe.
No,
so I'm a long life liberal. As soon as you deviate a little bit, they will go after you, and that's mind control.
Who's they? Who is they?
Oh, the left.
The left.
What left are you talking
left,
about?
Black left, whatever. But especially the white left will go after you.
No, bro, be specific. Be specific, because I need to understand. But sometimes,
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, go ahead.
So if they're black, if they're black or minorities of any sort, they will call you coon. They will still go after you. And if they're white on the left, they will just call you something else.
See, now
they don't allow dissent.
I think you're confused. I don't know if you're being disingenuous, but I think sometimes you're talking about politicians and sometimes you're talking about ordinary people, bro.
Ordinary people.
Yeah. Ordinary people you're talking about, right?
Yeah. They don't accept dissent.
Okay, right. So no, you can't make a statement like that about ordinary people because ordinary people have various different political stances and they also have different reasons for not agreeing with a particular person. Yeah, I think that's actually quite not right wing, but that's a really strange assertion to make for someone who you must be a conservative. I would have to assume that you are one.
I think I'm a lifelong liberal, classical liberal, that are now identify myself as a conservative, and they're much more tolerant.
Yeah, it
much more
but it makes sense. But the way that you're speaking, I guess that anyway, just because you want to tar everyone with the same brush to be able to push forward a particular type of politics, you saying that every time someone like Kanye comes along and tries to leave the plantation, and I know that's a soundbite you've got from somewhere, right? I know that.
Yeah, I definitely did.
I've heard that this week, right? Yeah, you're saying that as soon as he leaves the plantation, people are on his back and whatever. That is that's some real shallow cognitive processing that you're going on, or no cognitive processing at all. Actually,
well, I hope this explanation makes you feel good because that's not true. I mean, the left is about authoritarianism. They don't allow dissent.
That is not true.
Can I get my opinion? Can you give me a second? They don't allow dissent because they will see that as a virus, that you're spreading something that can actually become more popular within the group, and they see that as something very, very dangerous. So they will go after you. While the right allow diverse thoughts and they allow freedom of speech and they encourage that actually. So if you can't see that, you won't understand why actually Trump or conservative movement in America is gaining the support of Afro-Americans from 10% to 29%. It's gonna happen like a flood, and you're gonna understand it later.
I think you need to go back and review the left and right understanding and philosophies and that, because you've got it twisted, my G.
Well, do you want to live in reality or La La Land?
Yeah, but you've got a spectrum. You've got left. You've got obviously a far left. You've got a left of centre. You've got a right of centre.
Left are in control.
Exactly.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that he's right to a degree, because I mean, if you look at America, all the Democratic-run states, they have the highest poverty, they have the highest crime rates, and they've been depending on ethnic minority votes for so long. Yeah, and they have been taking ethnic minorities for granted. And black people, Latino people, even in the UK, you know, Labour-run councils, they just keep you hanging on a thread. They completely take your vote for granted. And the people are thinking, you know what, it's just more of the same, more of the same. We just keep on ending up in the same position. So they just rely on that voting block. And people are waking up. But if you do deviate from the course, then people will automatically label you and saying, listen, you're a traitor. But people are starting to wake up.
Yeah, wait, because I did deal with a bit of politics before. I was with like Green Party and all them type of activism going on there. But when we understand certain things, like people can be left wing but have right wing views, right? So when you look at Antifa, they are what they describe themselves as left wing anarchists or whatever, but they have a right wing view where they want to shut down people who are fascists and not let them talk about anything to do with racism, which is
or perceived
in my view a right wing thinking, because if you're about freedom of speech, you can't say them man can't talk because they are talking about racism, which is what I would call a contradiction.
And so this is how they're all blending in together as well, bro.
Yeah, man. Like,
Churchill.
Well, I can speak from personal experience. You know, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say Churchill was a bit of a waste man, but he said that in the future the fascists will call themselves the anti-fascists.
That's right.
Someone was about to speak. Who was that?
No, that was me. I was saying that, like, you know, I used to be on the left, and, you know, I can speak from personal experience. I lost friends just because I changed my mind on something.
Same here, brother.
I've lost friends, and, you know, they don't talk to me more. They, like, you know, they don't have any contact with me anymore. So I can speak from personal experience. I mean, I was a borderline communist at one point because I believed in this mirage of like a utopia of like social justice where we're gonna get rid of poverty, where we're gonna change human nature, which is impossible. Human nature is what it is, and once you understand that, then then you can understand what politics is all about.
I mean, if you look at the state of the world, yeah, whoever you vote for, nothing seems to change. Whether you vote for the, conservative, Democrats, Labour, whoever it is, it's always the same outcome.
It's because they're not running the show, and this is why I personally keep coming back to this same boring rhetoric about capitalism and about the state and how their function is to blah blah blah. You guys know the score, know the story already, innit?
Yeah, you know what my views are too, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think capitalism is the problem, and like, well, that's just my view anyway, and that's a right wing thing. That's how I define it anyway. Like, it's out there. The information's out there. People can just look up and check it for them. Like, we've watched the whole Kanye video, and people have actually agreed on it. Like, that's what we need to see more people doing, watching it and actually analyzing the thing, not just running with sound bites. Like, actually going, like, there's videos out there showing you what left and I don't know why people are still confused. My man's telling me that right wing socialism is authoritarian. I'm just like, what? That is the complete opposite of what you're talking about.
With Kanye, it's what's deep is like you would imagine that a lot of kind of left-leaning black people were buying Kanye's music back in the day and still now, right?
Yeah.
And so he's made his money off of the back of that. I'm pretty sure I don't actually know. I'm not gonna guess what his mum was, but like, he's made his money off of that, and to a certain extent, the people like the impoverished minorities in America are propping up conservatism in a sense that they are. So if the structures in place are already if there's structures already in place and you have the people in the nation who are operating within a confined space within certain compartments of that structure, if 10, 20, 30 years down the line, they are still operating in the same way inside of that structure, and they're also perpetuating the system as it originally stands, right? So when Kanye is now saying, we should do this, we should do that. Number one, it's not a surprise if they're gonna be like, nah, we're not feeling that, because they're still in the same structure. So in that sense, I understand Kanye's the logic of what Kanye is saying is that he knows his fan base, innit? Or his original fan base. And he knows his people, so he knows what needs to be changed to alter the way that they operate inside of those small compartments. I mean, inside the projects, inside the school system, inside this, inside that. So I get what you're saying. But at the same time, how you change the structure is my issue, right? Because it seems like Kanye is willing to dance with the devil. He's been dancing with the devil for over a decade anyway. Same with all these people, Jay-Z and Puff Daddy and Will Smith and whatever. All of them, man, are dancing with the devil, innit? And it's like, how you change the structure is what I'm interested in.
But you're making this about the one person, and historically, black people have always been conservative. They've been more religious. They like order. The family has been very important. So historically, actually, you're wrong. They have always been conservatives. And I'm gonna leave my spot here. Hold on, I'm gonna leave my spot here if anybody else want to take over. I just want to give shout out to Jarina Star. Thank you for speaking out on this topic. Mad love for you. All right, guys, I'm leaving.
Later on.
Take it.
That's two conservative panel members, without a doubt. I don't agree with their politics at all, bro. Yeah, that's me.
No, but I think you'll find that we're all a bit kind of conservative in some way. In values, I'm talking about our view of the world in terms of family and marriage. There's a lot of people out there, who believe in family, and these are quite conservative values. But then we're quite left in certain ways. So we are a mixture of. I'm quite right leaning in certain ways, then I'm very left in others. So I am kind of like a hybrid of the two.
I think we all are that as well, hybrids.
Exactly. We don't have parties that represent that. That's the problem.
Again, going back to not an analogy, but my thing of saying, once a system is created, those people who have been designed, so those compartments that have been designed for specific parts of the population, if people continue to operate in that same way inside those same compartments, they may have left-leaning views, but their behavior are right wing, in a sense that they are keeping the system going. Do you get me?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
The thing is, the irony is, did you watch that football that march in London? You know, that football. I think it was Tommy Robinson's brigade. They had a march a couple of days ago. If you look, the left came out against them. I think they outnumbered them 3-1. But even if you had a look at the composition of that group, it was mainly women. And even the female commentator at the time, she goes, it's women and non-binary people representing this, going against the right, which I found it quite strange. And they were saying, no to white supremacy. There weren't black or Asian faces amongst them. It was pretty much a white group against another white group. There were hardly any black or Asian people to be seen. This is the funny thing with the left. They have a very mixed group of people that have opposing views between them. So the left will represent minority groups, including religious communities, but those religious communities also are at odds with groups of LGBT, so they won't be walking hand in hand because they, have opposing views with one another. So it's kind of a strange mix.
You know what's interesting? You know what I find interesting as well. So I'm gonna stop hogging the mic, but when you look at it, right, all of the those who have all of the resources, right. I first of all, I don't class them as incredibly clever. I just think because you have the resources, you're able to react to certain situations quicker than somebody else, and so it looks like you were planning the stuff for the whole time. Yeah, I don't believe that they always plan stuff. When you look at the political the wider picture, and you have the LGBTQ community up against, say, the black whatever, and then you have the feminists here, and then you have this there, and whatever. Everyone's fighting each other. See, all these money makers are making money off of everybody. Yeah, you'll see if you just spend 24 hours recording or watching all of the adverts that come on the TV, you will see brands selling to everyone and anyone in any way, shape, or form. And then a year later, you'll have the same brands flipping their entire agenda to sell to somebody else. And it's like, that's the way. I can't get past that. I'm sorry, I really can't get past that. I can't often I don't really want to go into the detail of the whole political paradigm because
No, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. I think the more diversity you have within the community, the more communities you make, the more divisions and the more stratified that community is, the more markets you have available to sell to. You're absolutely right there.
All right, family. Can I say something? Yeah, I just wanted to bring out a quote by a gentleman by name Aldous Huxley, and this is what he said: "There will be in the next generation or so a pharmaceutical method of making people love their servitude and producing dictatorships without tears, so to speak." Producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies, so that people will in fact have their liberties taken away from them, but will rather enjoy it, because they'll be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda or brainwashing enhanced by pharmaceutical methods. And this seems to be the final revolution. Now, going on that, did you hear that? Yeah, family.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, we heard that.
What do you think about that?
Sounds like postmodernism and neo-Marxism put together.
I feel like this is what's happening right now in essence, because there's so much pharmaceuticals, so much chemicals being pushed forward, and we're all under so much chemicals in our food, water, and our environments that I feel like we're not even in our right state of mind nowadays to be able to figure out what is really going on.
I'm so confused why people are so against things like socialism. Like it's fake. Like I don't know. Like I'm of changing the subject right now, but I don't know why people are so against it.
Can I ask you what's your
How about the 20th century?
Sorry.
How about the
go ahead.
20th century?
Bro, ask
Kanye,
a question. Someone was about to ask a question. Ask a question. What's going on? Someone was about to ask a question. Ask it.
No, he said what was wrong with socialism. I said, okay, well, like, let's look at the 20th century. How about that?
Say that again.
Socialism is a disbelieving concept.
It's a slave. It's a slave mentality. That's what it is. You're a slave to the state. That's what socialism is.
And if you and with capitalism, if you're at the bottom end of the food chain, you're a slave to everybody else.
Capitalism is also
yes, but wealth creation is the point of it.
Socialism has no state.
Oh wow, okay.
Have you not searched it up?
Hold on. My understanding, just real quick, not understanding, but like me trying to figure it out now. If socialism is run by a state in some way, then it can become oppressive. Is there a way of socialism not being centralized? And I guess that's the whole point of socialism, right?
That is the definition of socialism. Without it's what's it called? The means of production owned by the people, not by a few people. Not by a few people. It's owned by the people that produce it.
It's owned by the mob, basically, is what you're saying.
Not the mob. What are you talking about, my G? Come on, man. Stop. What do you mean by the mob?
I guess he's saying that like you can still use violence to coerce particular socialist
no. See,
situation.
all we're saying is that, okay, look at McDonald's now. You have a manager and then you have workers, right? In a socialist society, the workers are the ones that control and do everything. There is no manager. Everyone does what they do to the best of their ability to help everyone get the food that they need for the society, and everyone.
And that's in line with human nature, in your view.
Yeah, I would say it is. I would say definitely.
Is human nature fundamentally good? I think that's the question where we're getting to now. Is human nature fundamentally good or not?
Good. I think you're talking about good.
We have both intrinsic evil and good within us.
Because I think
we're catered.
Because I think we're irrational fundamentally. Human beings are,
You're definitely rational beings.
I don't think it's a question
irrational. I said.
I don't think it's a question
we are not irrational.
I think it's a question of violence. This violence is underpinning whether things are this conversation of good and evil is underpinned by violence.
Not really. Violence is irrational.
Yeah, but this is it though. I mean, look at the state of the world. Yeah, whatever label you go by, whether you're communist, socialist, liberal, whatever it is. Yeah, look at the state of the world. It ain't making no difference.
But that's the point. It's not about the labels, the idea that is it. So I also don't like labels either, but it's the idea at the end of the day, what they're actually talking about. That's what matters. And if people are misrepresenting certain labels, then I'm just going to have to address it. That's what we were talking about earlier with the whole Kanye thing. People are looking at what he said and instead of actually going into the information.
But that's what I'm saying.
Wait, so do you believe in
How long have we been doing this, bro? Like how many years have we been doing this? And it hasn't gotten us nowhere in terms of making the world a better place for us as human beings.
But that's the thing, we couldn't because, okay, when we look at in the black community especially, some of the leaders in the past, a lot of them were socialists and communists. What happened to them? Most of them got
assassinated.
Exactly. So you have to think, why would
or maybe because like their ideas didn't work.
Why, they were assassinated because their ideas didn't work.
That's a stupid answer.
No,
that's a dumb answer, my G. My G, come on.
No, I didn't mean no. I meant that their ideas didn't so many people have abandoned it, and why?
They what?
That's my point.
They didn't die because they didn't have support. They died because they had support.
They died because they had enemies.
Exactly.
Enemies with motives.
Yeah,
every time it's been tried, it's failed.
Yeah, a lot of people say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so a lot of people say that when you live in a socialist system, even though I do agree with socialism, the wealth should be equally, should be distributed fairly. But when you live in a socialist, when you live in a socialist system, it removes the incentive to innovate. So, like, we live in a world now where, well, that's the thing. I mean, if you look at all the innovations, they've all come from capitalism, haven't they?
No, it hasn't. What are you
but that
talking
doesn't
about?
mean what you're saying doesn't mean that. Look, if you haven't had a socialist state in the UK, for example, to prove that the only way to innovate is capitalism, then you can't make that statement.
How does science come from capitalism?
No, I understand what the brother's saying. I understand what the guy's saying. I can see where the progress.
Of course, science comes from capitalism because technological
come on,
advancement and
Matty.
scientific know-how
No, it's
comes from
not.
investment, and investment by nature is capitalism.
and wealth creation.
Hold on. So all of the materials used to build all of the rockets and all of the iPhones and all of the X-ray machines and all that kind of stuff. If it was if the world was socialist, no one would be paying for that anyway. It'd just be sent, right?
100%.
Right. So then therefore, how can science be completely dependent on capitalism and innovation? That's nonsense. That's like saying an ant colony has to have a capitalist mentality to build their home.
No, the thing is though, debt finance speeds up infrastructure investments, and capitalism is just debt finance. That's all it is. Mortgages, bonds, and the money market. That's what's driving the economy now. It's not the real economy. It's not consumption of actual
no
goods
need
and
for an
tangible
economy.
services. It's all about money and bonds and stuff. That's why we have more debt in
And
the
do we
world
think
than
that?
we
Do we
actually
think
have
all of that
GDP.
is?
But basically, capitalism is based on competition. Competition is about building the superior product. And you've got every market, people, like even music, people, it's built around competition. Competition is what breeds new ideas. Yes, absolutely. There's going to
No,
be
it's
stuff.
not true, Maggie.
No,
It's not true because competition
Your
was
ancestors
there
didn't need. Your
in all
ancestors didn't need to
societies.
compete with each other to build it anything, did they?
Exactly.
I agree that science.
So if you agree, then
That came before the capitalism, but generally the system that we've got to keep the money circulating. I agree that I'm not a proponent of capitalism whatsoever, but at the same time, in order to keep the system going, you need a competitive framework, and that's what keeps it all going. As in competition, people just innovate. They want to build a better product than what's already out there, and then that's just how the wheels just stay in motion.
Mate, with all due respect, that is not what capitalism
Let me just
is.
say something real quick, bro, just before I forget it. What happens is people say stuff, they make statements, right? And they say stuff after, and we forget what they said. And it's like that key point couldn't be missed. You said to keep the system going, right? Now, that's what a lot of right-wing people would that's their argument, isn't it? That's what makes it hard to make change in this world. Is that we like to keep the system going, to keep the financial sector healthy. That's the argument, isn't it? Like the main difference I can see between the more socialist structures in place that helped to build today. I don't know. I'm just guessing in it, but some civilizations that we probably revere in certain ways or whatever. The difference between innovation under maybe a socialist environment compared to innovation in a capitalist environment is the building of unnecessary shit, right?
I agree.
So like this whole competition based innovative paradigm, is building stuff that's unnecessary and it's unhealthy for human beings.
I completely agree with
Building
you.
stuff that's unnecessary. Building stuff that's unnecessary comes about when there's free money, and free money is what the problem is here, because the governments are printing money left, right, and center.
Can you think
and then
about
handing it out to the people at low interest rates, and then those people are spending that money on things which don't actually exist in the present time, like houses. When they're buying the houses, but they're paying for them over their lifetime. So the economy is building up all of this debt here when there's no actual product. That's what capitalism is, bro. That is what it is.
Can Can you?
Yeah, no, I completely
Yeah.
agree with you. As I said, I'm not a proponent. I don't like capitalism. In certain ways, it's good. In certain ways, it's not. But the thing is, have you seen this documentary called The Century of Self by Adam Curtis?
Yeah. Big
So
document.
you've seen that. So it's a big documentary. I suggest to everyone to watch that. That breaks it down of how they kind of molded us from a needs-based society into a desire-based society.
Yeah.
And until it's all based on desire, isn't it? If you think about it, until we stop desiring, then the whole system falls apart.
It's Freud.
But
This is all Freud's fault, man.
it's all Freud. Well, it's Edward Bernays' nephew, but that's how they do. They've engineered us to desire, so we just need to desire. We need the next iPhone. We need that. We need that. Until we sort our own individual desires out, the system's just going to continue running.
And this is why the conversation about communism and capitalism, whatever, like those are kind of, I suppose, they're social structures, but they're financial structures too, right?
Yeah.
My thing is there's too many people in one place at one time. That's the biggest problem that I see, isn't it? Like the world is massive, and there's and obviously what the powers that be have done, all the way from the serfs and whoever who owned the land and whatever, and the kind of the formulation of the Freemason order and all the Illuminati and whatever you want to call it. Those people that had resources in it that compiled things together. They wanted to make more money, so to make more money from the things that they already had, they had to have more people. And the industrial revolution, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not an expert on any of these things, but I can join dots in it quite easily. Yeah, that has obviously driven this idea that we to have any kind of worth at all, we all need to be in the same place at the same time, building these civilizations and metropolises, thinking that this is what society is supposed to do. And obviously now that the irony is that we come, you've got people that are coming from really remote villages from wherever, people coming from Africa to Europe, etc., trying to really live a meaningful life in these cities, right? And yet you have people who have built the cities trying to leave the cities. It's just a madness. Someone said the other day that all Africans are that everyone wants to go to Africa apart from Africans. And it's like they're trying to get out. And it's like, why do you think people are trying to get in? People need to think about
this. Exactly, bro. Like, it's all about control, isn't it, bro? Like, if you have to depend on me for your supply, then that is what it's about. That's what these governments are all about. They're all about just controlling people.
That's what money's about.
That's what it comes down to. Bottom line, control.
I think Kalam is dead, by the way.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Can we resurrect him?
Someone play a big tune. Someone play some back.
Leave him. Let him sleep, bro. Let him sleep, man.
But obviously, I think also the mental health issues in capitalist society, they're only get worse and worse and worse, and we see that now. I think 1/3 of people in America are on antidepressants. So there is something deeply wrong with the capitalist system.
You know what? Yeah, you see, I'm trying
to. Don't say.
I've been trying to reconcile like my positions on certain things with the position of someone like Kalam, maybe Tekia Watch as well. But this idea that there's a certain amount of conservatism in what they say, and what I like their solutions are kind of, some people will call it band-aid solutions. Some people will call it, just being realistic about the system that we're in and finding ways to deal with the problems, like the video the other day that they did on mental health practitioners in primary schools and stuff like that and whatever. Like the only way I see this going, like, and I need to be able to have conversations with people that have these people who accept the system for what it is and have an idea that the system should move towards a kind of iRobot, AI-driven scenario. Automation. Someone mentioned automation the other earlier on today as well. Like, I need to have conversations with people like that, so I know that that's actually where they're secretly hoping for things to go to, but they won't say it, right? A lot of these people won't say it, and I just put two and two together, and I'm like, that's where they must think things are heading. Honestly, to have the politics that they have, that's where they must think things are heading, because if you're not going to change the society itself and the systems and destroy the structures that are creating all these illnesses in the first place, and rather you're going to find other people to come and fix the things that have been created that are wrong, then you're going to have to end up, for that society to not implode completely, you're going to have some kind of automated iRobot scenario like 1984 or whatever. That's going to happen. It's like either the civilization just dies and it's reborn again or whatever, or it's going to have to turn into that one way or another. Like there's no getting away from it as far as I'm concerned.
What you said there, brother.
Down, open up. Oh no!
He's
back.
Man woke up to a capitalist society.
Callum.
Oh man!
DMX in the house.
Callum, you should keep sleeping,
bro. Oh man!
Oh man! Yo, family, I'm trying to go to my bed now. Okay, so if I'm gonna ask for your permissions, can I go to my bed right about now? I'm gonna
no, you may not.
This show.
Oh man!
Oh man! You already know the deal, right? Y'all could either go over onto the Hangouts after we've closed down, or you can go onto the what's that thing called again? Discord. Yeah, go onto the Discord and quite possibly carry on the conversation with the same individuals or with different folks as well. All right, family. But we've done a lot. We've done a lot today. Right? We didn't get to touch on abortion. I know some of you guys definitely wanted to touch on abortion. I apologize, right? I'm going to start going to bed. I'm going to start going to bed. Not going to bed late. No, I'm going to start.
You're going to go to bed now. You're going to go to bed now.
Okay, I'm going to start waking up so early, right? Let me stop waking up so early, or let me try to find like a midday nap. If I get my midday nap in, then we can do this, you know. Secretly, I used to get my midday naps in. That's why I could do shows till 3 o'clock in the morning, but it ain't happening as of late. So apologies, family, apologies. So yeah, maybe next time we'll talk about abortion. There's quite a few topics that we definitely need to touch on. I really enjoyed this Kanye Trump conversation. It was much needed. I think, you know, we're so used to getting these media sound bites and not really investigating things with inside of context and listening to the whole story. And it was a nice opportunity for all of us to actually listen to the full Kanye video. And for me, this was the first time I got to listen to the full Kanye video. I saw bits and pieces, you know, the side that was against Kanye West, and I also saw the side that was for Kanye West. And it was just nice to just see Kanye West and Donald Trump and that whole conversation in its entirety, as well as getting, you know, you guys, the audience members, panel members, to come on and actually navigate us through the dialogue and, or well, should I say Kanye West's monologue. So it was beautiful. Let's keep it up. This is what we're here for. We're here to provoke you guys to think critically, nothing more, nothing less. We're not trying to tell you to think one way or another way. All we want you to do is just think and think critically, and you yourself, you can be the captain of your own ship and navigate yourself through, you know, whatever is being stated. So family, I'm going to bed right now. All right. I love you guys, but I'm tired. So peace and love. Can I get an
Oh
man.
Oh
man.
That's what I like to hear.
Why is Sarah coming on the call last minute, bro?
Yo, Sarah, what are you doing here, G?
Boy, I'm preying, I'm peeping in.
Yeah, you need to bounce back out, fam. Yeah, I'm joking.
So anyways, I'm going to sign off right now, and then let's get it on. So right now, we've got the heavy hitters in here. So let's get it, family. Let's get it. Make sure you join the link. Peace and love, family. Peace and love.